You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1931 1931 Chapter 429 Official Succession Chiu Subscribe, 4. When he died, the stone statue would have to bear the aura of death. Therefore, the city lord and the stone statue complemented each other. In fact, even now, the stone statue had withstood more than half of the aura of death. The city lord and the residents had only withstood a small portion. When Black Demon died, the aura of death that the stone statue had withstood increased greatly. At this moment, Suyu had refined the city lord token. The stone statue in the back hall opened its eyes slightly and looked at the front hall. It was slightly surprised. It thought that Suyu was weak. After becoming the city lord, it would be able to endure even more aura of death. However, the moment Suyu became the city lord, the aura of death that Suyu should have withstood was almost completely borne by him alone. The stone statue did not need any additional burdens. The stone statue was slightly surprised. Suyu was able to withstand so much aura of death. What kind of technique was that for his Yuan Qi to turn into aura of death? It seemed to be very powerful. Could he learn it? Yes, this thought suddenly arose in the stone statue. If I could do it, would I be able to better suppress the undead passageway? After all, he was currently under a tremendous amount of pressure. The death aura of the entire undead world was spreading out into the 36 passageways. They had been suppressing the death aura for countless years. Petrification was actually to prevent the death aura from corroding them. Even so, petrification was no longer possible. The death aura was extremely corrosive. When the day came when they stopped petrifying, that would be the true trouble and danger. It meant that their petrification had been destroyed by the aura of death. That was why it was said that once a stone statue was no longer a stone statue, it would be a great battle between living beings and dead souls. That was because the stone statue could no longer defend itself. As for why it was not made public and that it needed to recruit more residents, Suyu was not interested in talking about it at the moment. Nonsense. Becoming a resident almost destroyed their future, and everything else. Who would be willing to do so unless it was a dead end? As for the threat of the undead, who would care? For countless years, there hadn't been any threat to the undead world. With the stone sculptures and the saint city guarding it, who would take it seriously? In the main hall of the city lord's residence, Suyu had completely refined the city lord token. With a thought, the city lord token vanished. In the next moment, an undead appeared. In the next moment, it fused into Suyu's body. A large amount of death qi was boiling in Suyu's body. In the blink of an eye, Suyu's strength had increased by a notch. He threw a punch. Trash! Suyu suddenly cursed. Screw you! An 8th level Lingyun undead appeared. It was the same level as his civilized master level. After merging with him, his strength had increased by a notch. But screw you, this strength was not as powerful as the blood essence that he had devoured. What use is there? So, my city lord token didn't improve at all. Suyu wanted to vomit blood. I thought that with the city lord token I would be invincible. It seems that with the city lord token, I'm also a piece of trash. Suyu was mentally tired. What use was there for an 8th level Lingyun undead to fuse with him? It also stimulated the explosion of death aura, but it had no effect at all. After getting rid of the merged undead, Suyu sent him flying with a kick. Not to mention, this city governor's token had one advantage. It could summon undead into the city governor's mansion. However, in other ancient houses, undead could not enter the house. Scum! Suyu was depressed. After thinking for a while, he quickly ran to the back hall and entered. He looked at the stone statue, which closed its eyes again. As for Suyu, he quickly said, "City Lord, even though I'm at the 8th level of Lingyun realm, my true strength is extremely powerful. It's comparable to the sun and the moon. The City Lord token's fusion with the undead isn't of much help to me. In this way, I won't be able to enjoy the greatest benefits of the City Lord token. Sir, can you give me some other help? These words made the stone statue sink into deep thought. This was indeed a problem. The City Lord token's fusion with the undead was actually to make the City Lord stronger. However, under normal circumstances, the City Lord was only at the 9th level of the Sun-Moon realm, not the 9th level. Almost all of them died. As they were unable to withstand the attack of the Death Aura, Suyu was fine. Refining the City Lord token was almost nothing. Under normal circumstances, there wouldn't be any Ling Yun who succeeded in refining it. As for the Sun-Moon realm, fusing with another Sun-Moon realm was equivalent to having an extra lifetime. Of course, it was extremely powerful and had a huge increase in power. Previously, Black Devil did not use this ability because he had already suffered a severe backlash from the Death Aura. If he were to fuse with another, the backlash would be even more severe. In the blink of an eye, he would be dead. Now, a Ling Yun had refined the City Lord token. The effect of fusing with a dead soul was completely useless. Suyu wasn't someone who could be improved by fusing with an 8th level Ling Yun dead soul. To him, this was of little value. He hadn't even swallowed a drop of essence blood. The stone sculpture originally didn't want to communicate with Suyu at all. However, at this moment, he had no choice but to communicate with him. However, he still didn't let Suyu see him speak. Instead, it was the same as when Tianye spoke. Suyu's vision blurred and he felt as if he was in a dream. The sound of thunder rang in his ears. There are pros and cons in fusing with an undead. However, you said that it's useless to you, and that's indeed the case. Since that's the case, I'll give you 3 Sun and Moon Divine Talismans. Take care of yourself. After he finished speaking, Suyu woke up. 3 more Divine Talismans appeared in his hand. Sun and Moon Divine Talismans. He did not know the exact weight of the Divine Talismans. He looked at the stone sculpture and quickly thanked him. Thank you, sir, but the ones I provoked were all invincible. This Sun and Moon Divine Talismans. It was not very effective. He was also greedy, or he felt that the Sun-Moon Divine Talisman was not that good. Because he had seen the unrivaled Divine Talisman before, it was really not that good. It did not even kill a weakling like him. Logically speaking, the unrivaled Divine Talisman should have easily blown him to death. In the end, the Divine Talisman did not even kill him. It was too bad. And Suyu did not know that the floating earth spirit's unrivaled Divine Talismans were really not that good. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1932. 1932 Chapter 429 Official Succession Show. Subscribe. 5. It was not that he was unwilling to give him a good one, but the point was, if he really gave him a divine talisman that gave him an all-out attack, would he be able to activate it? Just like when Suyu gave him a mountain and sea divine talisman during the Yuan opening era, he was also unable to activate it. The floating earth spirit's invincible divine talisman could only be said to have come from an invincible hand. However, it did not mean that it was the power of an invincible attack. If that was the case, Suyu would have been killed long ago. The floating earth spirit's invincible divine talisman could barely reach the sun and moon level due to the limitations of its own strength. This was why the wood spirit patriarch of the 5 elements clan told the floating earth spirit that it was normal for it to fail to kill the sun and moon. Otherwise, the real invincible divine talisman would definitely not be something Suyu could block with a full power attack. And at this moment, what Suyu had obtained was actually the real sun and moon divine talisman. It represented the power that could reach the full-powered attack of the sun and moon. Of course, Suyu wasn't sure about this. Because he had been distracted by the floating earth spirit. The stone sculpture ignored him and didn't say anything. Invincible? Could it be that you wanted the invincible divine talisman? Could you activate it? No. Stupid guy. A child couldn't even lift a sledgehammer, yet he was still greedy for the invincible divine talisman. You're just a child, yet you're given a big hammer that weighs 100 gene. If you can't lift it, so what if I give you 10,000 gene? Even if I give you a small knife, it's still more lethal than a big hammer. The stone sculpture ignored him. Su Yu was somewhat unwilling. I didn't get any benefits, and I also bore the aura of death for you. After becoming the city lord, we're all family. Can't you give me some benefits? Su Yu was helpless. It wasn't cute at all. It wasn't as cute as the stone sculptures in Ancient Heaven's Destruction City, and it wasn't as good as the other party. The Xinghong stone sculpture closed its eyes silently. Su Yu had underestimated Invincible. How could he not sense it when he was thinking about all this right in front of him? I'm not as cute as Heaven's Destruction. Alright, cute. I'll leave such humiliating words to Heaven's Destruction. Let him be cute, I don't need him. Apocalypse was actually described as cute by others. At this moment, he did not even know how he felt. He wanted to talk to Apocalypse and find out how he felt. For the first time in countless years, he was curious. Apocalypse, was he happy, or was he angry? With a little greed in his heart, Su Yu walked out of the back hall. Even though he was greedy in his heart, he still said politely, "Thank you for the reward, Senior. I will come and chat with you often in the future. I have been lonely for countless years, and I feel that Senior still needs to be a little angry." Su Yu was a little bold. Climbing up the ladder was his characteristic. Since the stone sculpture was not angry and even gave him something, it meant that he had a chance to get close to him again. As a person, he had to be a little more thick-skinned. With such a powerful backer, if he didn't grab hold of it, how could he let the other party escape? On this day, Su Yu officially became the City Lord of Grand Star Ancient City. The gate of the City Lord's mansion was tightly shut. In the huge City Lord's mansion, there was only him, a stone statue, and a sleeping hairy ball. And the entire Grand Star Ancient City was still locked down. However, Su Yu didn't plan to lock down the City Lord's mansion again, nor did he want to kill any more undead. He closed the gate of the City Lord's mansion and began to cultivate. He first opened the city gate, allowing others to move in and share some of his pressure. The City Lord's mansion had a special characteristic. When people came out of the other ancient houses, everyone could freely enter and leave. As for the City Lord's mansion, usually, the City Lord would not allow it. Even if the City Lord was not in the mansion, without the City Lord token, one would not be able to open the City Lord's mansion. This was a very good thing. Su Yu had already planned to close the City Lord's mansion. When there were more people, he would use his identity as Xianjiu to get out of the city and become his Xianjiu. As for Su Yu, he would always be in seclusion in the City Lord's mansion, he would avoid the pursuit of the enemy. As for how long he would stay in seclusion, it would depend on when Xianjiu's identity was not useful. Su Yu went into seclusion. This time, he was prepared to go into seclusion for a period of time to raise his body forging cultivation. After all, he had enough resources. He had enough resources, but it was also a waste of time. As time went on, the consumption of body forging was not so bad. The key was that the time was getting longer and longer. From the beginning, he would cast his body every hour. Now, he could only complete one casting in 3 days or more. 3 days for the casting to be completed. This speed, probably only Su Yu found it too slow. No one would think that he was slow. Including Star Moon, sovereign of the dead soul world, he was a little depressed and speechless. Su Yu was at the Lingyun realm, and the death aura that Star Moon was emitting was comparable to the sun and moon, but it still could not suppress him. If not for the restrictions of some rules, Star Moon would have wanted to send in more. Troublesome. That brat was very troublesome. As a result, Xingyue had no choice but to increase the amount of death aura that she sent out. She would come here every few days. If Xingyue had gone into seclusion and did not care, perhaps when she came out, she would have completely suppressed the death aura and disappeared. Under such circumstances, the city gates of ancient Xinhong City were finally opened after the city had been sealed for 20 days. However, no one dared to enter after it was opened. That's right, no one dared to enter. They were worried that this was Su Yu's scheme. There were fewer living people inside, so Su Yu might need a group of living people to enter. Then, he would kill the undead and seal the city. In fact, recently, there were also quite a few people missing from the other ancient cities. There was no other reason. Some people who had deep-seated blood feuds had also learned to do so. They did not have Su Yu's confidence, so it did not matter. It was better to perish together with their enemies. Just as Su Yu sealed the city, an ancient city that was relatively close to the Protoss was sealed. A Shanghai realm expert had risked his life to kill a peak death spirit of the mountain and sea realm, leading the sun and moon death spirits to seal the city. He had trapped all of his enemies in the ancient city. After that, he crazily massacred the weak death spirits, causing countless death spirits to appear in the ancient city. The aura of death pervaded the air. Many people died. Of course, this guy died quickly. He did not learn from Su Yu. 3 days later, he killed the dead spirits again because he did not live until then. Even so, the ancient city was not as safe as before. Many people had been inspired by Su Yu and wanted to die together with him. It was best to go to the ancient city to do something. Hence, even when Su Yu opened the ancient city, no one dared to enter. The other cities were fine, but after 3 days, most of the people who killed people died. But over here, Su Yu couldn't die. This was the scary part. He could even give you 30 days. At this moment, Su Yu didn't know that the other city lords of the ancient city were cursing him to death. This bastard, if Su Yu did this again, there would be no one left in the ancient city, and they would all be finished. Now, the other city lords of the ancient city were just one sentence away from saying, "Let's hurry up and bring Su Yu back to the human realm." They were willing to contribute money and effort. Unfortunately, Su Yu was turned into a resident, which made the other city lords despair. Stop playing the game of sealing the city. Some of them couldn't afford to play anymore. Some of the city lords even directly announced that whoever played this game in the city would be killed. This was also the first time the neutral city lords had made such a declaration. The city lord of the 9th level of the Sun-Moon sect said these words in the ancient city, which immediately shocked many people. At this moment, many people turned their eyes to the ancient city of Hongxing. Other city lords would kill him, but what about the ancient city of Hongxing? They wouldn't kill him, right? Moreover, Su Yu might not even dare to come out from the city lord's mansion. Perhaps this was the real paradise. The prerequisite was that it would be best if the Sun-Moon of a large clan went to the city lord's mansion to stop Su Yu. This way, everyone could go to the ancient city of Hongxing to play. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1933. 1933 Chapter 430 Great Xia's Plot, Floating Earth Exit Seclusion 1. The ancient city of Xinhong opened, and the heavens fell silent. Along with Su Yu locking himself in the city lord's manor, it could be considered as locking himself up. Whether it was a good thing or a bad thing, no one knew. Perhaps Su Yu would speed up his death, or perhaps he would not. However, the attention of the large clans gradually shifted away from Su Yu. No matter how much Su Yu struggled with the living dead, he was limited to the ancient city. As the city lord, he had only left the ancient city for a few days before he would probably suffer a severe backlash and be devoured by the death chi. Such as Su Yu wasn't scary at all. The polytheistic literature department had produced Su Yu. First, there was Yi Batian, then Su Yu. Now, there were still some talents of the polytheistic literature department who were active, such as Hong Tan and Chen Yong. This branch was the root of the disaster. As Hong Tan opened the Multidivine Literature Academy in the human realm, the eyes of all the clans in the world once again focused on the human realm. This branch shouldn't exist. Moreover, Hong Tan was still promoting the splitting of divine literature. Now, there were already some new students who had become Hong Tan's experimental targets. It was said that there were already some results that could turn single divine literature into multi-divine literature. This was a huge threat to the 10,000 races. Once they could split the sun and moon realm civilized masters would quickly become multi-divine runes masters. When it came to the sun and moon, with the accumulation of time, who wouldn't have divine runes? 10 or more would be enough. Even if a sun and moon realm civilized master was unintentionally sketched out, there were still 10. If they really spread it out, suppressing the multi-divine runes department would become a huge joke over the years. Along with Su Yu's reason, the multi-god literature department was once again remembered by people. Very quickly, the Great Xia Mansion once again attracted the attention of the heavens. Great Xia Mansion. Civilization Academy. On August 1st, the Multi-God Literature Academy opened to recruit students. This time, they recruited quite a number of students, and it was not limited to new students. It included some older students, those in the Soaring Realm, and even those in the Lingyun Realm. According to Hong Tan, perhaps the Lingyun Realm was needed to cooperate with the experiment. Everyone knew what kind of experiment he was talking about, and no one had any objections, so they all joined in. The newly established Polytheistic Literature Academy had recruited hundreds of students in the blink of an eye. Yes, almost 1,000. And these students came from all sorts of backgrounds. There were those from the 2 Holy Lands, the other 35 great manors, the descendants of the sun and moon, the invincible descendants, and the descendants of the mountains and seas. There were even elites from various academies, as well as spies that were arranged by the religion of the 10,000 races. Not only that, even some of the students from the 10,000 races were included. This caused many people to object. Of course, Hong Tan's reason for doing so was to learn from the experience of the powerful gods and demons. At this moment, the Great Xia Civilization Academy was once again filled with life. It was extremely lively. Ever since Su Yu left, the Great Xia Civilization Academy had suffered heavy losses. It was already a little depressed, but now, it was once again lively and full of life. Multi-God Literature Academy. Xia Huyo was walking on a small path, following a little fairy with an ethereal fairy aura. He tried to curry favor with her. "Fairy Yu Xian, where do you want to go?" "I'll go with you." In front, the little fairy turned her head to look at him. A look of disdain flashed across her eyes, but she quickly revealed a smile. "Your Highness Huyu, there's no need to trouble yourself. I'm just looking around." "That won't do. Why don't I call for the Dragon Guard's protection? I don't want to recklessly offend the fairy." Xia Huyo said with a smile. "Fairy Yu Xian also knows that our Grand Xia Manor is somewhat stubborn. We aren't too satisfied with recruiting students from all races. It's fine if they are dissatisfied with the monster race, the dragon race, or the fiend gods. Fairy Yu Xian is our ally, a member of the immortal race, and a descendant of the Cosmos Immortal King." Xia Huyo sighed. "The immortal side is here to help us. These old fogies are really too stubborn." He shook his head with a dissatisfied expression. "If I become the manor head, I must get rid of these old fogies. For example, that fellow Zhao Rui is a typical killing embryo." Zhao Rui, the Dragon Martial Guards General. Yu Xian's eyes moved slightly. She smiled. "Your Highness, General Zhao and the others are also kind-hearted. How can they say such things? In the immortal world, I've heard of General Zhao's great name. On the heavenly battlefield, he led the dragon martial guards and swept through the eastern war zone, killing countless enemies. Xia Huyu said awkwardly, "At this time, killing will only lead to war. It is not a good thing. The current Great Xia Manor needs to rest and recuperate. This is what I want, and it is also what many people want. My second grandfather, including the head of the Great Xia Civilization Academy, Manor Head Wan, and General Hu. We all want to rest and recuperate. We cannot provoke the enemy for no reason. If the Blood Butcher King finds out, won't he be angry?" Yu Xian smiled and said, "The Blood Butcher King used decades of fame to kill his way to fame. It's not very good for your Highness Huyu to say this." Xia Huyu looked left and right and saw that no one was around. He said carefully, "I'm not stupid. Of course, I can't say this to my father. I'm actually doing this for my father's safety. He's about to attain the Tao, so how can we continue to kill at this time? My father is just too straightforward." He sighed, looking a little helpless. He said in a low voice, "I'm just talking to you, Yu Xian. Actually, I know what my second grandfather is trying to say. He wants to seek the help of the immortals. Yu Xian, I'm not a fool. I just hope that the Grand Xia Manor will be safe and there won't be any more trouble, including my father. I also hope that he can attain the Tao safely." He said sincerely, "Yu Xian, if you and I are connected by marriage, I promise that I will treat you well. As long as the Universe Immortal King is willing to lend a hand when my father attains the Tao, my Grand Xia Manor will definitely be grateful. The Xia family is not a heartless person." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1934. 1934 Chapter 430 Great Xia's Plot, Floating Earth Retreat 2. Yu Xian chuckled, "Your Highness, you're exaggerating. Furthermore, I'm only one of the descendants of our ancestors, and I'm not that close to them. I'm not good enough for your Highness Huyu." Xia Huyu quickly said, "How can you say that? I'm good enough, I'm definitely good enough. If the Universe Immortal King didn't think highly of you, why would he send you to the Great Xia Manor? Your Highness Huyo, I'll try my best." Yu Xian said softly, "Try to tell the elders in the clan to try to reach an agreement with the Great Xia Manor. If the Blood Slaughter King can succeed in attaining the Tao, the Xia clan will be invincible. If I can marry into the Xia clan, my fortune will be prosperous." The Xia clan was indeed a wealthy clan. If it was placed in the 10,000 clans and 10,000 worlds, it would be considered a wealthy clan. Invincible in both clans. Of course, the current Xia Longwu was still not. But if he succeeded, he would definitely be one of the few noble families among the myriad clans. The great Xia Emperor's strength was also incomparably powerful. After Xia Longwu succeeded in attaining the Tao, he would definitely be incomparably powerful. Xia Huyo smiled and nodded. "Definitely. I believe that Yu Xian, you can do it. The Universe Immortal King will also come to an agreement with the Xia family." At this point, he whispered, "Yu Xuan, you have to tell the elders in your family as soon as possible. My father is about to attain the Tao, perhaps soon. The Blood Butcher King is about to attain the Tao." "When?" Xia Huyo laughed and said, "Soon. I'm not too sure when exactly. Is that in the human realm or the heavenly battlefield?" "About that." Xia Huyo laughed dryly and said, "About that, just pretend that I don't know. Yu Xian, I can't tell you these things. Do you understand?" "I understand." Yu Xian nodded and smiled. Then, as if it was unintentional, she said, "Huyo, you know Su Yu, right?" "I do." Xia Huyo nodded and smiled. "What's wrong? He has been in the limelight in the heavenly battlefield recently. Do you know?" Xia Huyo nodded. "I've heard of him." After saying that, he sighed. "How dare he? The great Xia mansion was already surrounded by enemies on all sides, yet he still provoked so many powerful enemies. Fortunately, he wasn't considered a member of the great Xia mansion now. Otherwise, he would be in big trouble. It's best for the great Xia mansion not to get involved in this trouble. Let the great Ming mansion take care of it. Don't you think that he's too powerful? Yu Xian said softly, I heard that he just opened his yuan when he entered the school. It has only been a little over a year, but he can already kill the sun and moon. It is said that he has the inheritance of the invincible relic. Hu Yu, you are only floating in the air now. If you can get this relic and become Ling Yun's mountain and sea, or even the sun and moon, that will also increase the deterrence of the great Xia mansion. Xia Hu Yu frowned and said, Yu Xian, you can't say that. Don't even think about getting his relic. Our Xia family has been established for hundreds of years because we love the people like children. The things of the people belong to the people, and the opportunities are also theirs. That's different. The invincible remains is not personal. Those who are fated will get it. Yu Xian quickly said, moreover, he won't be able to come back. He has become the city lord of the ancient city. The current him is destined to be bound to the ancient city, and he won't be able to return to the human realm. He may die after leaving the ancient city for 3 to 5 days, and it has been more than 3 to 5 days since he left the ancient city to the great Xia mansion. Yu Xian said softly, Hu Yu, think about it yourself. Nanyuan, there are many people gathered and outsiders are looking for him. Only your Xia family is not looking for him. The Blood Butcher King is not interested, and Lord Xia does not care. But what about you? Among the direct descendants of the Xia family, you are the most qualified to take over the position of the next manor head. Now, I hear that there is a lot of support from the outside world. It is not you, but teacher Xia Yuan. Xia Huyo frowned. It doesn't matter. My cousin is stronger than me, but he lost his honor when he fought with Bai Feng. Moreover, he is not clear with the great Zhou mansion. My father and my second grandfather will not hand over the position of mansion master to him. That may not be the case. If the great Zhou mansion is willing to help the great Xia mansion, then teacher Xia Yuan will be the bridge of communication. Yu Xian continued, he is very powerful. He was once on the yellow list of the heaven hunting list. He is one of the few geniuses in the human race. Yellow list? Xia Huyo curled his lips and said, he is not even comparable to Bai Feng. After being defeated by Bai Feng, it doesn't mean anything for him to be on the list. Furthermore, he has already fallen off the list. Yu Xian frowned slightly, very quickly, she said, forget it then. You don't even value yourself. Huyo, in all the worlds in the universe, the most important thing is not your identity and background, but your own strength. You are soaring in the sky. Even if you become the mansion master, do you think the great Xia Empire will respect you? My father has attained the Tao, so I'm probably Ling Yun. That's too weak. Yu Xian shook her head. With such strength, how can you become the head of a mansion and be able to intimidate an entire region? Su Yu is also just Ling Yun. You are competing with Su Yu. Yu Xian despised him in her heart. Do you think that you are amazing just because your family is powerful? What are you competing with Su Yu for? Su Yu's talent, courage, and strength are all better than yours. If it wasn't for the fact that he was born in the divine literature department, and if he was a warrior, Su Yu's status in the human realm would be much higher than yours, Xia Huyo. Even the invincible of the 10,000 races would not make things difficult for him. How could you not see yourself clearly as a person? Frog at the bottom of a well. Do you think you are so great just because you are Xia Longwu's descendant? Once the 2 invincible Xia family members fell, he would be nothing. As you wish. The southern origin ruins might really exist. If you don't care about Hu Yu, so you won't come back either. I wonder who will benefit in the end. Yu Xian did not say anything else and left quickly. As for Xia Huyu, he seemed to be deep in thought. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1935. 1935 Chapter 430 Great Xia's Plot, Floating Earth Exit 3. He muttered, Strength. Ruins. With a muttering sound, Xia Huyo left with a thoughtful expression. Yu Xian, who had already left, smiled brightly. Xia Huyo, on the other hand, turned around and left. He maintained a thoughtful expression all the way until he returned to his own residence. He rubbed his cheeks and sighed. How annoying. Acting every day. When will it end? It was Su Yu who was the most satisfied. He killed to his heart's content in the heavenly battlefield. He killed so much that even the students of the 10,000 races at the human realm knew of his fame. These students at the human realm looked down on the other students of the Great Xia Mansion. However, when it came to Su Yu, no one dared to look down on him. He was a genius who killed all the experts of their races. He was a peerless genius. An Mintian and Lei Ju of the celestial race, Tian Duo, Lan Ing and Mo Erba of the demon race, red armor and green armor of the black armored race, the floating earth spirit of the five elements race, Jiu Xian and Dao Cheng of the immortal race. These people were either killed by Su Yu or suppressed by him until they couldn't raise their heads. Even the celestials and demons couldn't say no to such a peerless genius. Now, he had even become the city lord of the ancient city of Xinghong. Although his life wasn't long and he couldn't leave the city lord's mansion, even if Su Yu died, he would still be able to display the glory of this lifetime. This was something that many people wanted to do but couldn't do. In the past, when everyone mentioned geniuses, it was always Madonna and Zhan Wushuang. Now, the first person to be mentioned was Su Yu of the human race. Su Yu. This fellow isn't really going to die, right? Xia Huyo sighed. It wasn't a good thing to be too monstrous. If this fellow really didn't return, it would be too much of a pity. It would be too much of a pity. Even his grandfather was unable to save him. Nanyuan relic. They muttered again. Were they all sure that Nanyuan had a relic? Was Su Yu's strength really caused by the relic? Everyone was thinking that Su Yu might have entered the relic when he was only in the Yuan opening realm and had already obtained such great benefits. If he entered the relic now, would he be invincible in the Tao? Perhaps, Nanyuan's relic was very powerful. That was because this might be the last invincible ruins of the human race. The more powerful the ruins, the more backward they would be. This was also what most people were thinking right now. There were many ghosts and monsters in the Great Xia Manor right now. Second grandfather had not returned yet, so he would probably be back soon. The polytheistic college had opened. Taking advantage of the fact that they had not returned, many people had probably taken the opportunity to sneak in. Right now, the Great Xia Manor was a hodgepodge of people. There were all kinds of people. Perhaps even Blue Sky had snuck in. Father went to the heavenly battlefield. Because someone had discovered his whereabouts, the news spread among the higher-ups. There was really no quasi-invincible person in the Great Xia Manor. The strongest person was only second grandfather. Second grandfather was not here now. A group of experts had sneaked in. It was quite a lively scene. I heard that Lu Wenyan is about to return as a teacher. He is no longer in the vanguard camp. Principal Zhou Mingren seems to have been lucky a few days ago. He actually killed a small clan's sun and moon. His crimes have been cancelled out, and he might be returning soon. News flashed through his mind one by one. When all of these people returned, it would most likely be a chaotic world. As for Nanyuan, they had to speed up their plans. Xia Huyo's mind was a mess, and he felt a slight headache. Fortunately, it was his second grandfather who had set up the whole thing. In addition, there was a certain principal who was in closed-door cultivation, so it didn't have much to do with him. What he had to do was to build a good relationship with the geniuses of the various clans. In the meantime, he wanted to see if he could attract some people to invest in him. He walked out of his residence again. Outside, he vaguely heard someone saying, "Have you heard? I heard that there's a half-emperor relic in the southern Yuan dynasty. It's even a human emperor relic. It's in existence on the same level as the Starry Mansion." "What the hell? You guys don't know about this? I heard that Suyu knows about Suyu." "No one doesn't know, right? He went to the heavenly battlefield and seems to have made a great name for himself. He killed in all directions and his reputation shook the heavens. It's related to the ruins of the southern Yuan dynasty." Xia Huyo frowned slightly. Was this arranged by the Xia family, or was someone else secretly stirring up trouble? He wasn't too sure about this either. However, the news was about to spread. Soon, the southern Yuan dynasty would become the focus of attention in the world. It seemed that second grandpa was going to set the starting point at the southern Yuan dynasty. Xia Huyo didn't care anymore. Come on. The more, the better. It was time for him to make some preparations. Suyu had killed so many suns and moons. If he couldn't kill the suns and moons, he could just kill them all. The great Xia manor was in a state of turmoil. Lord Xia had already left the heavenly battlefield and was rushing towards the great Xia manor. As for the heavenly battlefield, without Suyu, it was in chaos. Although there weren't any big battles, there were still many small battles. The geniuses from all walks of life were constantly fighting. There were people constantly changing the rankings, and there were also people constantly dropping off the rankings. In the ancient city of Xinghong, there were more and more people. Because there was no threat from the city lord, it caused many experts to be a little interested. Of course, there were still some worries. They were afraid that Suyu would appear again and kill the spirit-sealing city. However, after a few days of probing, Suyu didn't leave the city. This was a good thing. In addition, after a few God-fiend experts entered the city, they blocked the entrance of the city lord's residence. This way, Suyu's threat was even smaller. Previously, they couldn't block Suyu. Now, everyone knew that Suyu was in the city lord's mansion. It was a good thing that he was blocked. Under such circumstances, someone was about to come out of an ancient house. Floating Earth Spirit. The 1-month period was almost up. During this 1 month, the floating Earth Spirit enjoyed it very much. It was very quiet. No one came to look for it or bother it. The battle outside was earth-shattering, and it didn't know anything about it. It was sealed by Suyu's soundproof barrier. It did not hear anything at all. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1936. 1936 Chapter 430 Great Xia's Plot, Floating Earth Exit 4. The old house where he was lucky was not destroyed. Suyu should have left, right? In the huge rock mass, the floating Earth Spirit thought that he had probably left. It had been a month. The last time that fellow caught him, it was probably to do something. Moreover, in a month's time, the Five Elements clan should have known where he was. Since the Five Elements clan had sent people, Suyu did not dare to stand guard outside the door. The stone mass began to gradually crack. The floating Earth Spirit heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, with this thing around, the threat of death aura was reduced by quite a bit. It could be considered to be quite lucky. Otherwise, in a month's time, he would have been corroded to death. This time when I go out, I'll stay away from that fellow. It's hard to say. That fellow is so reckless. Perhaps he's dead. The floating Earth Spirit thought optimistically. Perhaps he would die. With a bang, the stone ball exploded. The seal was completely broken. The floating Earth Spirit jumped out and was overjoyed. The seal around the stone ball was also completely broken. I'm out. At the same time, in the heaven hunting pavilion branch, before the arrival of the deity and devil expert, Su Yu, who had entered the branch, was reading a book. Suddenly, he raised his head and looked in a certain direction with a smile. The floating earth spirit had come out. His luck was really good. During the Invincible War, the Death Spirit Sovereign had appeared. So many ancient houses had been destroyed, but this fellow's ancient house was fine. A few days ago, he had killed so many corpses that the ground was littered with them, but this fellow was also fine. The geniuses had been corroded, but he was also fine because of the 2 invincible divine talismans. This fellow couldn't really become the 5 Elements clan's common lord, right? He was so weak. Even if he could succeed, it would be countless years later. He felt that the floating earth spirit's luck was stronger than Maudwa's and the others. I can't expose my identity just for you. Otherwise, I'll let you see how evil people are. How evil? Of course, it was a broken house. When he entered, he stood beside the floating earth spirit. He had just broken the seal, and when he came out, Su Yu was standing beside him. The floating earth spirit probably knew what evil was. Su Yu smiled. Even when he put on the white mask, his expression could not be seen. Come out then. Su Yu didn't really care. At this moment, he had just completed the 50th layer of the physical body. Even so, Su Yu was still thinking, could any of the geniuses on the heaven hunting list be his match? Could Maudwa be his match? Or Zhan Wushuang, Xian Wuji, and the others? Zhan Wushuang and the others were strong. They were at the 8th layer of the mountain and sea realm, perhaps almost at the 9th layer. However, if they went against the 1st layer of the sun and moon realm, they would die. If they were stronger, they would be at the 2nd layer of the sun and moon realm. What about him? The strength of his body's acupuncture points had already broken through 210,000 acupuncture points. The current Su Yu, after devouring blood essence, had a high chance of beating them. After all, these people were not easy to deal with. After killing the sun and moon realm existences, it would be difficult to deal with them if they did not devour blood essence. However, after devouring blood essence, it would not be so difficult to deal with them. Of course, it was best to deal with geniuses like them with lightning speed. Otherwise, geniuses would have more methods than experts. It would be a bit troublesome to give you an invincible divine talisman every now and then. In the near future, my goal is to complete the 72 casting of the body. It's not suitable for me to make a move. I'd better keep a low profile. Su Yu glanced over and didn't care anymore. His goal was to complete the 72 casting of the body. Of course, he didn't hide in the city lord's mansion so that he wouldn't be blocked by others. At the same time, he would observe the situation and see if there was anyone worth killing at the critical moment. Then, he would seal the city gates and kill them. This ancient city was now his fishing pit. If it wasn't a big fish, he wouldn't take in the net. The floating earth spirit, who knew nothing, didn't care about this at this moment. He walked to the door happily and hesitated. There was no danger outside, right? There shouldn't be, right? Just when he made a move, there was actually someone outside. The 5 Elements race wouldn't give up on him. At this moment, an expert of the 5 Elements race quickly shouted, "Floating Earth Spirit, are you inside?" After the ancient city of Xinghong was opened, people from the 5 Elements race came. They risked their lives to come. Fortunately, there was no danger these few days, which made this sun and moon feel much more at ease. Inside the door, the floating earth spirit was slightly startled. Soon, he hesitated and said, "Elder Tu-He." "It's me." Tu-He was overjoyed outside. It was indeed the floating earth spirit. As for the floating earth spirit, he did not dare to believe it. Last time, Su Yu pretended to be Tian Duo to kill him. He quickly said, "Elder Tu-He, how is your grandson, Tu-Ko-La?" Outside, Tu-He was speechless. I don't have a grandson, floating earth spirit. I'm not a bad person. The floating earth spirit thought for a moment and said, Elder when did I first meet you? He felt helpless, but he also felt that it was somewhat familiar. Thinking carefully, wasn't this the same trick Su Yu used to test Niu Baidao's identity? He kept asking. Why were these guys so suspicious? Su Yu was like this, and so was the floating earth spirit of his clan. It was as if he was afraid that someone would impersonate him. When you were just born. What about the second time? The second day after you were born. What about the third time? Shut up, I've been taking care of you. After I took care of you until you reached the soaring level, I saw you every day. The floating earth spirit believed it. It was probably true. That's right. Just as she was thinking about it, he said somewhat angrily, when you were young, a little girl from the water spirit clan peed and scattered your body. No one knows about this, right? I know. Is this enough? The floating earth spirit was speechless. I already believed you, so why are you still talking about this? Quickly open the door. Sure enough, Elder he was outside. The floating earth spirit was overjoyed and turned into a native. He smiled and said, Elder, you're finally here. As he spoke, he looked around and said with a sigh, it's better to breathe well outside. The ancient city is still safe. There hasn't been any change in the past month. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1937. 1937 Chapter 430 Great Xia's Plot, Floating Earth Exiting Seclusion 5. Ancient City or Ancient City. There were no changes. The floating earth spirit said a few words and quickly said, Elder, did Su Yu escape or die? Or is he being chased by someone? He had a strange look in his eyes, he didn't escape, he's in the ancient city. The floating earth spirit was surprised, he's still alive? Yes. He's not dead. Then why isn't anyone chasing after him? I think this ancient city is still very quiet. He's blocked. Oh, that's good. The floating earth spirit heaved a sigh of relief. He looked around and quickly said, where is he? Why don't I go and watch the show? This fellow has sealed me off for a month. I'll definitely take revenge. Since he was blocked, he was relieved. He is in the City Lord's mansion. The City Lord's mansion? The floating earth spirit was stunned. Yes, he is the City Lord now. Black Devil is dead. He has become the City Lord. In a daze. What the hell? Black Devil who was at the 9th level of the Sun Moon realm is dead, and Su Yu who was at the Lingyan realm has become the City Lord. Does that mean that I am still in his territory? How is that possible? He is only at the Lingyan realm. How can he become the City Lord? Elder he said faintly, of course it's possible. He killed Black Devil, then sealed the city, and then killed the sun and moon that were competing with him. Wouldn't he become the City Lord? How simple was that? You can do it yourself, you can give it a try. You can also kill the City Lord of the ancient city, then kill the guy that was competing with you in the city, and then seal the city. You can also become the City Lord if you refine the City Lord token and live. That's not right, he has become a resident. The floating earth spirit suddenly thought of something, and his expression changed slightly. He nodded. Yes, many things happened during the period when you were sealed. You don't know, but for your sake and to save you, the first elder came once and lost his future body. Now, his strength has greatly decreased. The floating earth spirit's expression changed. The great elder came. Not only that, all the races came to be invincible. A few days ago, dozens of invincible experts broke out in a battle in the ancient city to kill Su Yu. In the end, several invincible experts lost their 3 reincarnations. Not only that, in the end, Modwa and the others were trapped. Zhan Wushuang, Xian Wuji. These heaven-rolled geniuses and a group of late-stage Sun-Moon experts were almost killed by Su Yu, including the 2 late-stage Sun-Moon experts from our 5 elements race. Later, the races spent 5,000 rays of heaven and earth mystic light to redeem them. Also, Su Yu pretended to be Tendo and deceived 2,300 rays of heaven and earth mystic light from the Protoss. This is also the beginning of the Great War. 2. He looked at him. You were trapped by him. Did you know his identity? Is that why he trapped you? The floating earth spirit opened his mouth and said after a long while, yes, he looked like Tendo when he came to beat me. He deceived the Protoss. Are the Protoss idiots? Shu, lower your voice. 2. He saw that he was too shocked, he said helplessly, it's not just the Celestials. All the other races were cheated. He held an auction and even specially fought with you, he was probably faking it. You didn't fight with him in the Sea of Stars, right? It was during that battle that an ancient ruin appeared. It was fake. He pretended to be him. No. The floating earth spirit was speechless and quickly said, that's not right. I was fighting with him. I was sealed. How could I fight with him? Doesn't the clan know? He felt that the experts in the clan were very stupid. How could they be deceived? 2. He shook his head and said, it was you who broke out in this battle before you were sealed. We thought that you were a participant. Su Yu had directly pretended to be him when the floating earth spirit was hiding in the ancient house. When the floating earth spirit heard this, he was immediately speechless. This guy is extraordinarily bold. If he had left the ancient house, wouldn't he have exposed Su Yu all of a sudden? No wonder Su Yu wanted to kill him. It was not just because he had met Su Yu in the Sea of Stars. This guy was extremely bold. Following Elder Tu He's words, the floating earth spirit was continuously shocked. It was truly terrifying. Very soon. The floating earth spirit sent a voice transmission. Elder, let's not bother about this for now. Su Yu's problem. There are other problems. He can absorb some of the 5 elements Patriarch's energy. In addition, I used the 5 elements purgatory, but he actually quickly imitated it. It doesn't feel like it's caused by divine runes. Instead, it's caused by the legendary cultivation technique, the 5 elements divine art. As soon as he said that, Tu He's expression changed from earthy yellow to gray. The floating earth spirit quickly said, Elder, pay attention. Tu He quickly recovered and sent a voice transmission, really? Of course, really. I don't think I'm mistaken. If it's the divine runes, then it's too ridiculous. They can even absorb the power of the 5 elements Patriarch. Tu He's voice was heavy, and he quickly sent a voice transmission, then I'll inform the Patriarch immediately. Let's go to the Heaven Hunting Pavilion branch first to get a sub-ranking. I don't have a sub-ranking right now. You get one and contact the Patriarch immediately. Okay. The floating earth spirit nodded. It was time to get a sublist. After not coming out for a month, it felt like the sky had changed. As for Su Yu's matter, he had to contact the Patriarch as soon as possible. At the same time, he could see if the Patriarch could give him some divine talismans or something. He didn't feel safe at the moment. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1938. 1938 Chapter 431 The Desperate Su Yu 1. Heaven Hunting Pavilion Branch. Now, Su Yu was no longer alone. There were also a few temporary workers who were residents of the ancient city. This was how it was in the past. The branch had 1 or 2 official members, or a few black and colorful faces assisting it. Under normal circumstances, Heaven Hunting Pavilion members liked to be alone. The last time Su Yu was in the heaven-destroying ancient city, it was like this. The cat-eared lady that he communicated with was a temporary worker. The residents also needed to earn money. Earn money to cultivate, and cultivate to offset the death aura. Under normal circumstances, the speed of your cultivation was not much different from the speed of the death aura's corrosion. That way, you could maintain your life. Now, it was like this. The ancient city's seal was lifted, and those residents came to work again. Suyu did not need to deal with them. These people took up their jobs automatically. There was also a steward responsible for receiving them. Suyu's task was very simple. He had to communicate with the heaven hunting pavilion and take care of the storage in this place. This was his task. As for other matters, these old employees would be responsible for them. When these people came, Suyu was still surprised, but he did not show anything. Soon, the heaven hunting pavilion branch was activated again. After a few days, Suyu also understood the operation of the entire heaven hunting pavilion branch. He really didn't have many things to do. Of course, he still had to do one more thing. He had to apply for some supplies from his superiors and fill up the inventory, waiting for some people to exchange for them. The inventory from last time wasn't much, so Suyu didn't rob them. Too little. The Black Armor Elder told him that it was too little. It wasn't worth it to rob them, and it was easy to be exposed. When there were more days, or when a peerless treasure was delivered, then robbing them would be the truth. The heaven hunting pavilion had 2 floors. The first floor was for business, and the second floor was where he was. Sometimes, he would be responsible for receiving some top-tier experts or heaven hunting geniuses. This was his mission. At this moment, Suyu was cultivating while opening the window to observe the outside. Opening the window was generally not allowed. If it was opened, it meant that others could enter. Of course, the heaven hunting pavilion did business with the outside world, so it didn't matter. Soon, Suyu's eyes flickered. Interesting. Was he coming to the heaven hunting pavilion? The floating earth spirit. There was also an earth spirit expert at the sun-moon realm, probably in the late stage. Suyu didn't investigate, but a line of words appeared on the mask, Earth Spirit, 7th level sun-moon realm. This mask was just a simple investigation. Even so, Elder 2 he still felt something and instantly looked towards Suyu. Looking at the window on the second floor, he saw a white mask that was faintly discernible. 2 he did not care about it. Heaven Hunting Pavilion's fellow. The floating earth spirit also followed along and felt something. Looking in that direction, he could not see anything. Even if he was a member of the Five Elements clan, at this moment, he could not investigate anything, unlike before. It could more or less detect the composition of water. Suyu was now more vigilant. He also had the talent of the Five Elements clan and knew the situation. This time, when he knew that there were members of the Five Elements clan in the city, he even made some changes in these subtle areas. Even if he was seen through, the other party wouldn't be able to tell at a glance that he was Suyu. 2 he ignored Suyu, he sent a voice transmission. Later, use a secret message. Our Five Elements clan's secret message uses the Five Elements clan's floating mountain treasured Bible. Don't forget. Next time, send a message through the Heaven Hunting Pavilion, you must remember it. You must not say it directly. The floating earth spirit nodded and also sent a voice transmission. Actually, I've wanted to say it for a long time. It's just that those old antiques in the clan don't listen to me. Why did they think of changing it this time? Suyu did it. Oh. The floating earth spirit was speechless. A group of old fogies had to be messed with before they knew about the change. In fact, they had wanted to say that it was time to send a secret message. Of course, there weren't many times when the ranking was used. However, it could still be used. No matter how powerful the voice transmission talisman was, it couldn't be sent to the small world. It could only be sent through the heaven hunting list. The heaven hunting list was very powerful. Of course, the heaven hunting list could only be used in the heavenly battlefield. However, the various clans had people in charge of transmitting messages at the entrance of the heavenly battlefield. Some of them even used the heaven hunting list. In this way, it could be transmitted quickly. Otherwise, in the ancient city, the voice transmission talisman would be almost useless due to the interference of the aura of death and in the sea of stars. In fact, even if the heaven hunting pavilion did not do business, it could still earn a large sum of money by communicating with others. Thinking of something, the two of them quickly walked into the heaven hunting pavilion. Without waiting for the temporary worker downstairs to speak, Suyu said in a deep voice, "Earth spirits, please come upstairs." Soon, a bunny-eared lady led the two upstairs. On the second floor. In the reception hall. Suyu floated to the door and said in a low voice, "Please come in." He and the floating earth spirit didn't care about these things. Their status was considered noble, and the heaven hunting pavilion also looked at people who served food. Those who didn't have money or strength couldn't go up to the second floor. Congratulations to Supreme Floating Earth Spirit for coming out of seclusion. Suyu congratulated them, and the Floating Earth Spirit casually said, "There's no need to congratulate me, it's embarrassing. You're embarrassing yourself. Forget it, I won't argue with you anymore." Suyu was too lazy to say anything more. Very soon, he called the two of them to sit down and silently looked at them, maintaining a sense of mystery. He and the others did not care. Very soon, he said, "Help me pass on some news to the Earth Spirit Elder stationed at the Five Elements Passage." Suyu nodded slightly. "Sure. Do you have any other requests? Give me a sub-ranking," the Floating Earth Spirit said. Suyu nodded. He had this. Over at the sub-pavilion, a group of people from the Earth Division had just sent over 2 days ago. It was to meet the needs of these geniuses. Recently, there had been quite a number of geniuses who had lost their sub-ranking. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1939. 1939 Chapter 431, The Desperate Suyu 2. He handed a sub-list to the Floating Earth Spirit. The Floating Earth Spirit took a look and sighed, "He's really off the list." He was talking about Suyu. Soon, he looked at Suyu and said, "Does your heaven hunting pavilion have any detailed information about Suyu? What does Supreme want to know? Strength, realm, when will he die? Even if you die, I won't die." Suyu calmly said, "Supreme, you can ask through the rankings. I'm not too sure about the details." "Then forget it." The Floating Earth Spirit said one sentence, and very quickly, he said, "Then help me pass on some news." "Forget it, we'll do it ourselves." "How much is it?" Since he had the rankings, he could naturally pass on the news himself. Suyu did not care. The people who passed on the news recently all brought secret messages. He could not understand them even if he looked at them. It would be useless even if he looked at them. "You guys pass on the news first. I'll consult the headquarters and see how much it will cost." "Okay." The two of them did not say much and quickly started to pass on the news. It was all he's doing. It seemed that the Floating Earth Spirit was not too familiar with this secret message. Suyu cursed in his heart, making it seem like he was a thief. What big secret did he need the secret message to pass on? Very quickly, the members of the Huang department sent him a message, charging him 3 drops of sun and moon blood essence. It was frighteningly expensive. According to the heaven hunting points, 1 drop of sun and moon blood essence was worth 50 heaven hunting points. 3 drops, that was 150 points. It was really expensive. There was no other way, they had an exclusive monopoly. These two would rather pay the price and pass it on to the heaven hunting pavilion than go back by themselves. Were they not prepared to leave? Suyu was actually a little surprised. They were not leaving. They were still staying in the ancient city to wait for death. The floating earth spirit, was it not beaten until it was in place? As he was thinking, the floating earth spirit said, "Can the heaven hunting pavilion locate Su Yu's position? That guy is just stuck in the city lord's mansion. I'm afraid it's a trick. In fact, he has already come out and is hiding in the ancient house in the city." Su Yu was shocked. "Damn, you're so smart. You've already guessed it. Just thinking about it." But he quickly said, "These few days, many people have asked for this news, but Su Yu didn't bring the sub-ranking board, so I can't locate him. I've also been ordered to be responsible for investigating Su Yu's movements these few days. If the two of you have any news, you can sell it to the heaven hunting pavilion." The floating earth spirit sighed and quickly said, "Then forget it. Oh right, the heaven hunting pavilion still has heaven yuan qi, give me 100 portions. 1,000 heaven hunting points." Su Yu was straightforward. He had heaven yuan qi, and the earth division members had also brought some. A portion of 10 heaven hunting points was equivalent to 10,000 human merit points. It was frighteningly expensive. Buy it or not? There were many people who wanted it. 5 portions of heaven yuan qi was equivalent to a drop of sun and moon blood essence, and it was equivalent to a portion of heaven and earth mystic light. With this price, there were still people who bought it. If all of them were converted into human merit points, the heaven yuan qi would be 10,000 merit points, and the heaven and earth mystic light would be 50,000 merit points. In reality, this was the effect. 1 portion of heaven and earth mystic light was only slightly better than 5 portions of heaven and earth mystic light. The key was that heaven and earth mystic light was limited. Heaven yuan qi was also limited. These things could not be bought with human merit points. They often needed to be bought with mountain and sea blood essence or sun and moon blood essence. In short, the mountains, seas, sun and moon of the human race were all poor devils in the heavenly battlefield. Su Yu had received 7,300 wisps of heaven and earth mystic light last time, which was only more than 300 million merit points. More than 300 million, well, perhaps no one in the human race could take it out. Su Yu was considered a big tycoon when he bought and sold cultivation techniques. His income was only about 1 million merit points a year, and it would take him hundreds of years to accumulate so much wealth. This was much more than what Invincible earned. Invincible still had to cultivate on his own, he still had to support his family. As he thought about this, he quickly asked, "Do you want to pay with heaven hunting points, blood essence, or other treasures?" Blood essence. 2. He casually took out a lot of blood essence. They were all at the Shanghai realm, and they all belonged to different clans. It seemed like they were not good people. Very quickly, Su Yu went to the warehouse and took out 100 portions of heaven earth yuan qi. He handed it to them and asked, "Are you not planning to leave in the near future? That's all the trouble the heaven hunting pavilion has to deal with. They are always asking for information. Aren't your branches from the Xian department? Are you trying to steal the heaven department's business?" The floating earth spirit seemed to be quite familiar with the heaven hunting pavilion and complained. Su Yu secretly wondered if this guy was also one of the members. Su Yu knew that many geniuses were members of the heaven hunting pavilion. There were some benefits. First, they could not be located. Second, there was a discount when buying things. Su Yu said in a low voice, "It's fine if True Lord doesn't say it. I just want to collect some information. Recently, many experts are going to stay in the ancient city of Xinghong. The Starry Mansion is about to open. It's normal. It can be as short as 3 to 5 months, or as long as a year. The closest island to the Starry Mansion is 9-Star Island." As the floating earth spirit said this, too, he interrupted, "There's no 9-Star Island anymore." Alright, the floating earth spirit was helpless. Damn it, when I came out, I felt that even the sky had changed. The 9-Star Island that had existed for countless years was gone. What a tragedy. The two of them didn't say anything more. There was nothing to talk about with the heaven hunting pavilion. Soon, the two of them left quickly. As for sending messages, they could just pass the sub-rankings next time. As for Su Yu, he made a judgment. What message did the two of them send back? Soon, Su Yu contacted Xian Jia. Elder, under what circumstances can I receive information from others like the members of the Huang tribe? He wanted to control the situation of those who held the ranking. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1940. 1940 Chapter 431, The Desperate Su Yu 3. Heaven Hunting Pavilion Headquarters. Xian Jia was speechless. He quickly said, under no circumstances can you do that. Unless you join the Huang department and become a sitting elder of the Huang department, you can be in charge of this area. Otherwise, even if you are a member of the Huang department, at most, you will know the situation of the person in charge of you. Then if the Huang department provides us with false information, won't we be finished? Su Yu quickly said, for example, if the Huang division sent us on a mission, but it was a trap, maybe the Huang division members also had traitors. Don't use it. You are a traitor, don't say the word also, make it sound like they are all traitors. Xian Jia quickly said, the Huang division is only responsible for passing on the information. Whether you go or not, if you are really cheated, that is your own matter. Of course, after that, you will be held accountable. After saying that, Xian Jia quickly added, is it really appropriate for you to be in charge of the heaven hunting pavilion branch now? He kept feeling that something was wrong. This fellow did not have good intentions. Just being in charge of the branch, he kept feeling that he was going to do something bad. He was too worried. If he did not cause a big accident, then he, as an elder, would also have to bear the responsibility. Su Yu ignored him and said again, Elder, let me ask you a question. Do you know who is in charge of the heaven hunting pavilion? For example, if the ranking board is lost and someone picks it up, how can you determine that this is the person? For example, when I was chatting with you guys last time, you guys didn't discover anything. Xian Jia said again, our sub-leaderboard is usually only given to geniuses on the heaven hunting leaderboard, or geniuses who have been on the leaderboard before, or powerhouses. Most of the powerhouses have been on the leaderboard before. In this way, after receiving the sub-leaderboard and communicating with us, we can roughly determine who the other party is. Moreover, each of the rankings has records. Then why did something go wrong before? Why couldn't we determine the identity of some people? You speak for yourself. Xian Jia was speechless. Very quickly, he said, the aura of death in the ancient city is very strong. It will have a certain effect. It is normal for some deviation to occur. Moreover, you, and the ancient beast that Su Yu brought with him is not ordinary. It has not been on the rankings before, so the Huang department misjudged it. Will those who are not on the list, whose aura has disappeared from the heaven hunting list, be recognized if they hold the ranking? Xian Jia was tired. Just say it yourself. Why beat around the bush? Yes, as long as your aura has been recorded, it will be fine. Don't you have an ancient beast? Since its aura has not been recorded, you can give it a ranking. If you have any requests, you can let it communicate with you. This way, its identity will not be leaked. Su Yu understood. Very quickly, he said, Elder, then the heaven yuan qi in our inventory has suddenly been sold out. The next customer needs heaven yuan qi. Can I use my own inventory to sell it? If I don't go through the heaven hunter pavilion, will I have to pay a 10% fee? Of course. It's impossible not to go through the heaven hunter pavilion. The heaven hunter pavilion will give you a mission. If you are unable to complete it, then the Huang department will tell the customer that you are unable to complete the mission. If you say that you can complete it with your own inventory, then you will tell the other party that you can complete the mission. Therefore, you will definitely have to go through the platform. He understood. Su Yu nodded and said, "Then I will use the internal price to buy all the heaven yuan qi at a 60% discount. After that, I will sell it and give the heaven hunting pavilion a 10% handling fee. I will still be able to earn 30%, right? Why do you always want to pick the wool from the heaven hunting pavilion?" Xian Jia quickly said, "Sure, but I forgot to tell you. There is a discount for members, but there is a limit. For example, white noodles can only purchase 1,000 heaven hunting points of resources a year. F***CKU. Su Yu cursed inwardly. I told you, if it's possible, won't I make a huge profit? Every time I purchase something, I'll sell it to the public. If I give 10% to the platform, I can still earn 30%. So there's a limit. Su Yu continued, Elder, if I want to purchase a few 100,000 heaven hunting points, the Earth Division will send it over, right? Yes, but don't think about it anymore. At that time, the Heaven Division will participate and personally escort the items over. It won't be the Xian Division's turn. Are you trying to rob me again? Let me tell you, I don't have the chance. Developing such a troublemaker was actually very tiring for Xian Jiao. He was helpless. Did he do something wrong? If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have developed Su Yu. He couldn't hold it in any longer. Xian Jia quickly said, Xian Jiao, what exactly do you want to do? Can't you be more at ease? Su Yu quickly said, I don't want to do anything. I just want to hoard a portion of the resources and seal the city. I don't want to kill anyone. I just want to sell things. Can I make a fortune? That way, I can make a fortune faster. Su Yu continued, the purpose of the Heaven Hunting Pavilion is to make a fortune. It's to create trouble. Right now, the ancient city of Xinghong is too quiet. Elder, what I mean is to let Su Yu seal the city. 3 days later, there will definitely be people coming to purchase supplies. Then, we can make a fortune. You're really good. Xian Jia was tempted. That's right. If they sealed the city, they might be able to do so if they did not bring enough heaven yuan qi. After all, making a fortune from war was the purpose of the Heaven Hunting Pavilion. It was hard to say for the other cities, but the ancient city of Xinghong could be sealed at will. We can do it once or twice. If we do it too much, people will suspect us. Understood. Su Yu nodded. As expected, the Heaven Hunting Pavilion was also a person who wanted to see the world in chaos. It would be better if it was a little chaotic. He had nothing to do. Su Yu did not want to kill people. He actually wanted to force some people to become residents of the ancient city. Previously, Su Yu did not have such thoughts. Now, he was trying to find a way to govern the city. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1941. 1941 Chapter 431 The Desperate Su Yu 4. Although he was not afraid of bearing more death qi, it was not a bad thing to bear less. It was also a good thing that there were more residents in the ancient city. On one hand, he could bear the death qi. On the other hand, Su Yu felt that he needed some experts under his command. Look, up until now, there was not a single guard in Xinghong ancient city, not a single general, not even a night patrol army, and not even a city gate guard. Even the fee for entering the city was gone. It was too tragic. There was one more thing. It was best to kill all those guys blocking the gate. Otherwise, if you blocked the gate today and I blocked the gate tomorrow, everyone would come and block the gate. He, as the city lord, would lose all his dignity. Tell the 10,000 clans not to provoke me. Those who blocked the city would all be finished. Why did no one from Black Devil dare to block his gate? Why did no one from Tianhe dare to? Isn't it just bullying me, Su Yu, for being weak? Killing a few more people, naturally no one would dare to block the door. Su Yu had killed many people before, but they were all done through other means. If one were to say that he actually killed himself, it would only be that sun and moon of the red frog race. Suyu had to make this ancient city his own words. When outsiders came, they had to be obedient. Taking advantage of the fact that the starry mansion was about to open, he could earn some money and collect some fees for entering the city. With this thought in mind, Suyu also began to prepare to collect some information, such as who came from the 10,000 clans, who were the experts, who were involved in blocking the gate, and how to target and kill them. He wanted to let everyone know that he wasn't killing randomly, but only those who blocked the gate. I can't kill randomly. If I kill too many people, everyone will be afraid and won't dare to come. As for Xianzhou's identity, there was no harm in going out to scout for information. The Heaven Hunting Pavilion was there to scout for information. Furthermore, there were actually some Heaven Hunting Pavilion members active in the city. For example, there were people from the Sky Division entering the city to scout for information. Perhaps I can develop some of the outer regions. It's best to let my 10 black-masked subordinates do some work. He had to strengthen his own forces. All kinds of forces. It would be best if he could convert all of them to residents of his ancient city of Star Majestic. This way, his control would be stronger. Suyu already knew that the residents of one ancient city wouldn't be able to stay in other ancient cities for long. This was because they weren't from the same city and weren't very popular in other ancient cities. Thus, it would be best for them to stay on whichever side they switched to. My goal is to turn a large number of experts into residents and my subjects. Slaughter, shock, and expand my influence. After that, it would be best if I could run out of the city with the ancient city and smash people with stone sculptures. Everywhere I go is my territory. This was what was called safety. Suyu thought in his heart and didn't delay any longer. He quickly walked out of the Heaven Hunting Pavilion. Outside the door, the sky was already slightly dark. Suyu didn't care. He quickly soared into the sky like a ghost and flashed away. He quickly rushed in the direction of the city lord's mansion. A few minutes later. Outside the city lord's mansion, the gate of the city lord's mansion was tightly shut. In the ancient houses near the city lord's mansion, several doors were opened. A few suns and moons sat cross-legged and directly guarded the gate of the city lord's mansion. Not only that, under the gate, an expert with a powerful dark cheat directly sat cross-legged. Suyu was not surprised, he was from the dark race. Why was he so direct? He was more attentive than the gods and demons. He heard that it was a Nether King who was half crippled by the stone statue. From being an invincible veteran, his future body and present body were destroyed. It would be difficult for him to recover. Leaving behind a past body was actually quite powerful, but his strength could only be said to be the type that had just entered the invincible state. He reversed time and left behind a past body. If his past body was destroyed again, this invincible person would die. Moreover, now that he lacked a vessel, this thing was not easy to find. It would be difficult to capture a future body even if he wanted to. The key was that if he died now, there would be no future without the present. It would be very difficult to recover. Suyu had also heard this from others. Therefore, this descendant of the Nether King seemed to have come personally this time in order to stop Suyu and even kill Suyu. That Nether King was now hiding in some unknown corner. This Nether King also came here to take refuge. After all, it was safer to stay in the ancient city. His old enemy didn't dare to kill people here rashly. Suyu didn't pay attention to it and recorded it. One of the Nether race, 8th level Sun and Moon, very strong. One of the Celestial race, 8th level Sun and Moon, very strong. One from the Demon clan. F*CK, 9th level of the Sun and Moon, very strong, and also from the Blood Fire Demon clan. Madman, damn it, this clan's Sun and Moon won't die out, right? One from the Immortal clan, 7th level of the Sun and Moon. It seems that the Immortal clan didn't come too strong. One from the Five Elements clan, two he just now, what is he doing here, trying to stop me? One from the Dragon clan, 7th level of the Sun and Moon, what the hell, I didn't kill your Dragon clan, right? Alright, I did. Suyu recalled that there was a dragon battle in the Dragon clan, 7th level Sun and Moon, who was killed by him in the ancient city of Heaven Destruction. There was indeed a grudge between them. Good heavens, there's more. A 7th level Sun and Moon member of the Dragon Silkworm clan actually came. What's going on? Aren't you guys quite brave? Aren't you afraid of the Silkworm King finding trouble? The Black Armor clan actually didn't come this time. He didn't know what was going on. Could it be that they were afraid of being beaten up? There was also a member of the Ape clan's Heavenly Spirit Monkey clan. Suyu was surprised. Why was this clan here? Well, he seemed to have picked up the corpse of a big monkey at the 7th level of the Sun and Moon. It seemed that this clan also bore a grudge against him and killed one of their 7th level Sun and Moon cultivators. The corpse was still stored in his storage ring. There were a total of 8 cultivators at the later stage of the Sun and Moon. It was terrifying, and there was also one at the 9th level of the Sun and Moon. It seems that the 10,000 races are not the general value of their AH. Think that he's stuck inside, it will be okay. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1942. 1942 Chapter 431, Suyu in Desperation 5. The 8 powerhouses would probably have to change shifts. After all, the Sun and Moon could not endure the aura of death forever. Suyu quickly judged the situation. It had to be said that the various races really thought highly of him. He should be considered to have made a meritorious contribution. He had delayed 8 more late-stage Sun and Moon experts for the human race. Otherwise, the human race would still have to endure the threat of these 8 late-stage Sun and Moon experts. He had wiped out many enemies for the human race before and after. The human race actually didn't give him any rewards. Speaking of which, should the human race give him any rewards for killing enemies in the heavenly battlefield? Previously, it was 100 points for killing the sky. That was the first level of the sky. Ling Yun was 1,000 points. Shanhai was 10,000 points, right? Suyu thought about it and felt that it was true. On the human race's side, there were rewards for killing enemies on the battlefield. Wouldn't killing 1 Sun-Moon Realm cultivator and 1 level reward 100,000 merit points? Suyu had forgotten that it was probably true. Shouldn't he be given 900,000 merit points for killing a 9th level? If he calculated it this way, how many merit points could he receive from the human side? He had killed 8 people in the late stage of the Sun and Moon Realm, including Black Devil. He had killed dozens of people in the early and middle stages. On average, he would give 300,000 merit points each, which was more than 10 million merit points. I can't forget this. I have to ask for it later. It's more than 10 million merit points. I can't even be bothered with the mountains and seas. At least 10 million merit points. Suyu calculated in his heart. He kept observing the city lord's mansion while also looking at other places. Because the Starry Mansion was about to open, there were quite a number of people here. He calculated that there were close to 30 Sun-Moon Realm cultivators in the city, but there were fewer geniuses. Recently, the geniuses hadn't been coming to the ancient city. They had a psychological trauma. Especially for Madonna and the others. It wasn't the first time they were trapped in the ancient city. Close to 30 suns and moons. It's hard to judge the specifics. Some have closed their doors. There are also many mountains and seas. What about outside the city? Suyu quickly flew out of the city. At this moment, it was very interesting outside the city. There were people filling up the sea to create land. It wasn't just 1 or 2 experts, but many experts. Around the ancient city, there were people filling up the sea to create land. If one looked carefully, they should be people from the 9 realms, those guys from the 1000 Region Alliance. This time, the 9 cities of the 9 universes had been destroyed, causing their entrances to float on the sea. It was very dangerous. There was no defense at all. Building a city, usually, could still spread out the suppressive force, but this time, the city was gone. There was no way to spread out, because on the sea, the star sea wasn't suppressed by the power of the realms. Thus, these fellows once again began to create continents around the ancient city. Suyu casually glanced at it and didn't take it seriously. Today, they had spent a huge price to build it. Perhaps not long after, it would be gone again. Inside and outside the city, the situation had been investigated. In general, Suyu had a grasp of the situation. It wasn't good to trap and kill. The key was that there were more experts. Moreover, Suyu also had some taboos. Last time, he killed a sun and moon, and 3 incomparably powerful undead spirits came. If he killed them again, he would rely on the undead spirits to kill them. It would be very troublesome. Then seal the city directly. Use the City Lord token to seal the city and trap and kill them. As for the others, turn them into residents. Or let some of them out to prove that I'm kind. If he let others out, those who blocked the door would not leave either. This was inevitable. At that time, don't blame yourself. The City Lord token to seal the city will cause me to be devoured by the death aura. This is not a big deal. I can give it a try. Suyu was still a little scared after killing the spirit of death, so he chose to give up. I want to do something civil. Fighting and killing isn't a good thing. After calculating everything, Suyu quickly returned to the heaven hunting pavilion. How can I spread this news to prove that I'm a good person? I'm sealing the city. Everyone, hurry up and leave. If you don't, I'll kill you all. Do these guys think that I don't dare to seal the city? After all, if I seal the city, there will be a backlash. Every city lord has explained this point, so it's the same for opening the city gates. No one will force those city lords to open the gates, this is taking their lives. Perhaps they felt that Suyu's death aura was about to attack their hearts, and that sealing the city would kill them. That's why these guys felt that there was no need to worry about this, so they casually blocked the gates. As he thought about it, Suyu took out the City Lord token. Previously, Black Devil was in the City Lord's mansion, but he didn't open the door. His voice spread throughout the entire city, and even the outside could hear it. This was the City Lord token's ability, right? Why don't I try? Suyu probed again and again, recalling the information he received when he refined it that day. Very soon, he had a plan in his heart. The ancient city of Xinghong was still quiet. These few days, Suyu didn't appear, nor did he make a sound. It was as if he had accepted his fate. Since he was blocked, everyone felt at ease. Without this fellow around, only a few dared to kill the undead. Moreover, there were many experts in the city. Whoever dared to kill recklessly would be courting death. Just as the ancient city was on the right track. On this night, a loud voice suddenly resounded through the ancient city. I am Suyu, the master of the ancient city of Xinghong. You can leave the ancient city within a day. I don't want to kill recklessly. After a day, those who don't leave the ancient city will be killed without mercy. The voice reverberated in all directions. It seemed to be coming from the city lord's mansion, and no one cared where it came from. At this moment, the underworld race expert guarding the gate said coldly, Suyu, everyone knows how to talk big. You'd better stay in the city lord's mansion obediently. You can live for a few more days. Underworld race expert. Don't force me to seal the city. Seal the city for a month, none of you will have a good ending. The underworld race expert said coldly, then let's waste time and see who dies. Suyu, don't treat everyone as fools. In your condition, seal the city for 3 days, and you will die. We are still alive. It was because they had this confidence that they came to seal the city. 3 days. In the later stage of the sun and moon, if they really had to stay for a month, and now that they were prepared, they really couldn't die. What was there to be afraid of if there were no invincible dead souls? You forced me. If you still don't leave after that day, then just wait for death. It was a feeling of being fierce on the outside but weak on the inside. Outside the city gate, the underworld race expert sneered. The other experts looked at each other and said with a faint smile, "He can't hold it in anymore." Good thing. Was he fighting like a cornered beast? Or did he want to make a final struggle? He had put a cage on himself. So you couldn't blame anyone else. You hid in thousands of houses and it wasn't easy to find you. You insisted on becoming the city lord and hiding in the city lord's mansion. Everyone knew you were here. Didn't you send yourself to be blocked by everyone? The other experts all laughed. This guy probably couldn't hold it in any longer. Seal the city. If you're not afraid of the backlash, then seal the city. The city lord sealed the city, and no powerful undead appeared. Did you really think that no city lord had sealed the city before? What happened in the end? A city lord killed himself. In the end, the person he wanted to seal was still alive and well. This was something that only a fool would do. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1943. 1943 Chapter 432 Xing Hong was very satisfied. 1. At the same time. Near the city lord's residence, the floating earth spirit heard this voice and without saying anything, he turned around and said, "Elder, let's go." 2. He looked at him in surprise. Let's go. What was there to be afraid of? Su Yu was already a turtle in a jar. What was there to be afraid of? Could it be that the chosen one of our race had already been beaten and scared by Su Yu? This wasn't a good thing. Tu, he said meaningfully, Fu Tu, get up from where you fell. It was fine to be beaten up by Su Yu once, as long as he got up. Perhaps sitting and watching Su Yu die was a good choice. The Fu Tu spirit also said meaningfully, Elder, it's fine to look down on him once, but it's fine to look down on him twice. You can't look down on the number one person on the heaven roll again and again. Otherwise, if you fall, you won't be able to get up. The floating earth spirit couldn't figure it out. He had suffered losses at Su Yu's hands one after another, and he still wanted to continue. What was he doing? Running. Who cares how many days Su Yu could seal the city? He could just let others try, but why did he have to take the risk? The outcome would be settled after this wave of people who were trapped. 2. He frowned and said, Aren't you afraid of being hit? I'm not afraid. The floating earth spirit said in a muffled voice, It's not scary to fail once or twice. What I'm afraid of is that I've always suffered at the hands of one person. Don't you learn your lesson? After saying that, he had already walked out. How many times had he suffered? The elder actually felt that it didn't matter. Before Su Yu died, he still had the support of the ancient city. It wasn't like there was nothing he could do to them. Why did he have to fight with Su Yu for this day and night? When he saw this, he had no choice but to follow. To be honest, he also felt that Su Yu was finished. He was at the end of the road. Unfortunately, the floating earth spirit felt that Su Yu could still jump around. Since that was the case, he had nothing to say. The floating earth spirit quickly left the city. There were also some people who came out of the city. No matter what, they had to come out first. This was a competition between Su Yu and a top-tier large clan. Even if the others were fine, it didn't mean that the experts of the small clans were fine. Even if the city was sealed for 3 days, there were still people who couldn't stand it. If the city was sealed for 7 or 8 days, wouldn't they be finished? Gradually, the number of people in the city decreased. There were still some who didn't believe it. They felt that there was nothing wrong and that they might even be able to get some benefits. They didn't fear death and continued to stay. There were also some who were purely speculators. Seeing that the experts from the large clans were all here, some experts from the smaller clans also went over. They wanted to get to know each other and help out with the chores so that these large clans would remember them. Suyu didn't care about these things. I gave you all a chance, I gave you all time. There are no good people like me in this world. Tomorrow at dawn, seal the city. This time, seal it for as many days as you can. We'll see how many days these people can last. No one will let anyone go. As long as you have enough money, that's good enough. Suyu had obtained a lot of resources. He didn't lack them. Now, you can do whatever you want. If you have the ability, just attack and break through the city gates. Even if you can't kill invincible, killing a few invincible 3-generation bodies wouldn't be bad. Stone sculptures and undead lords were not to be trifled with. In the blink of an eye, the second day arrived. At dawn, the city gates closed with a rumble. The city was sealed. Suyu, who had used the city lord token, randomly found an ancient house and began to fight against the aura of death. As for the heaven hunting pavilion, it was open for business, so he did not go there to avoid being discovered. In the ancient house, Suyu began to fight against the aura of death and began to cast his body for cultivation. The heaven yuan qi circulated in large amounts. He discovered that the neutralization of the aura of death and heaven yuan qi was still helpful to his casting speed. It stimulated his casting of his body. This was a good thing. Therefore, it did not matter if there was a bit of backlash, although the backlash was indeed very strong. Suyu quickly accepted the aura of death and reversed it to neutralize it. What he didn't know was that at this moment, in the dead soul world, Star Moon Sovereign opened his eyes once again. He was a little irritated. Was there no end to this? I just gave you an extra dose not long ago, and you're here again. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being impolite. You brought this on yourself. A large amount of aura of death was once again transmitted to Suyu through a special channel that couldn't be seen. As a changer, there was actually an invisible channel between Suyu and Star Moon. This was also an ancient rule. Star Moon had once again increased the transmission of death aura. Don't you like to toss and turn? Alright, then toss and turn. I originally wanted to give you a chance to cultivate until the sun and moon before you die. Since you did not cherish it, then you should just die now. Suyu did not care about this. He was secretly alarmed. What a fierce death aura. There was no way to rely on heaven yuan qi. He could only reverse it. Originally, he could reverse it in an hour and a half. Now that Suyu had made a judgment, he was extremely shocked. It would take at least 2 hours to reverse it. It seemed that he could not be too reckless. Look, adding half an hour at a time was not good. After dozens of times, wouldn't he be finished? Suyu did not dare to be careless and quickly reversed it. He was also constantly consuming heaven and earth mystic light to cast his body. 50 was not enough. This time, he had plenty of time and heaven and earth mystic light. It was enough for him to cast his body. He was still short of 22 casts, but there were still more than 1,000 strands of heaven and earth mystic light left. On the first day of sealing the city, everything was peaceful. There were no undead spirits in the city, and the aura of death did not increase. Even on a normal day, an ordinary person could stay for 3 days. Not to mention the heavy sun and moon. Not to mention the heavy sun and moon, even those who were soaring in the sky would not be affected. It could be blocked. It was not a problem. The sun and moon were happy, but Suyu was not in a good mood. At the same time, some of the ancient cities also received the news. Su Yu had sealed the city again. This guy was really free. Was he not afraid that he would die immediately? At least he was living on his last breath. Was it not good to live? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1944. 1944 Chapter 432, Xing Hong is very satisfied, too. Must he be in such a hurry to become a dead spirit? Heaven destroys the ancient city. City Lord's manor. Tian he could not help but shake his head and look at the old man below. He sighed, this fellow is looking for trouble for himself. We are probably the only ones who know how severe the death chi backlash is. Moreover, many of the residents in the ancient city of Xing Hong have died, and now the city is sealed. If this goes on, the death chi backlash he will suffer alone will be even more severe than mine. The old man said softly, he should know the art of longevity. I gave it to you last time. He should be relying on this. The art of longevity is not bad, but according to my opinion, not only will it consume a large amount of heaven yuan chi, it will at most help him offset 10% of the death aura. This was not enough. If 10% of the input was offset by 10%, then there would still be 90% left. Su Yu was doing this because he had been converted by the undead sovereign. In about 3 to 5 days, he would really become an undead. Even if the art of longevity continued to circulate for 5 to 6 days at most, would he want to force the sun and moon to their deaths in 5 to 6 days? These people would definitely be prepared for this trip. A large amount of heaven yuan chi was indispensable. How could Su Yu waste his time with them? How silly. Sigh. For the sake of a moment of anger, he had to go against these people. He also did not have the ability to suppress them. Just by sealing the city, how could he deal with the sun and moon? Tianhe sighed. The old man hesitated for a moment and said, Sir, then will you help him? Me? The old man said softly, Sir should be able to help him, right? Tianhe was silent for a moment. He said, I can. If there is a city lord in the 36 cities, the city lord can actually think of a way to gather the ancient cities. When the ancient cities gather, we can also share some of the backlash for him. But. He shook his head. He sighed, after a long while, he said, that's not right. Not many people knew about this matter. Moreover, once their vitality was greatly damaged this time, there would be no way for them to carry out the following plans. Normally, I can help him, but not now. Is it related to Manor Head Xia? The old man said in a low voice. Tianhe glanced at the old man and slowly said, yes, you have followed me for many years. There are some things that you can guess. I hope that you won't disappoint me. The old man said calmly, Sir, you don't need to remind me. If it weren't for you, I would have died long ago. Then, he said, if you really can't hold on anymore, you can transfer some of the death aura in the ancient city to me. I can help you block it. No need. The city lord token could transfer some of the pressure of the death aura. Unfortunately, the guards of the ancient city of Xing Hong were all killed. There was no city gate token, no guard general, and nothing at all. In other words, the current Su Yu had no way to transfer the pressure. As for the residents were commoners. Unless the residents had special tokens or guard tokens, the residents had no way to transfer the pressure for the city lord. Moreover, if the residents were too weak, it wouldn't have much effect. As Tianhe was thinking, a light flashed and disappeared. In the next moment, a human figure appeared. He glanced at the old man and ignored him, but the old man was shocked. Tianhe waved his hand and signaled for the old man to leave. After the old man left, Tianhe frowned and asked, Why are you here again? Is Su Yu in some trouble? He's courting death. Xia Longwu hesitated for a moment and said indifferently, Help him and share some of the pressure with him. You're crazy. Tianhe said angrily, once we summon the 36 ancient cities and help Suyu, all the clans in the world will know that I'm on the side of the human race, helping you or helping the human race. At that time, your plan will be gone, and what will happen to me? My grandfather might be able to help you escape. Tianhe said coldly, the great Xia Emperor. The great Xia Emperor's blade was powerful, but his blade was also ruthless. Don't cut off the aura of death and kill me. I only cooperated with you because I trusted you. If you do this, how will you explain it to us? Xia Longwu, I'm not alone. You didn't just contact me, did you? Suyu insisted on seeking his own death. Do you want us to seek our own death for him? We're cooperating so that we can all live, not all die. Xia Longwu was silent for a moment before he nodded slightly. I'm the one who made an arbitrary decision. Then I'll go to the ancient city of Xinghong to take a look. You want to go? Tianhe frowned and said, now, everyone knows that you're in the heavenly battlefield. That place is the focal point. Everyone is watching. If you're discovered, there will definitely be invincible attacking you. Killing Xia Longwu did not mean that they had to wait for him to attain the Tao. It was just that they did not have many opportunities normally. Previously, they had sent people to the great Xia Manor to kill him, but he had easily defeated them. In order not to suffer a huge loss, they did not continue to send people to kill him. But now, he wanted to go and take a look. Was he courting death? It's fine, take a look from afar. As he finished speaking, his figure flickered and disappeared in an instant. At the back of the great hall, the Heaven Destruction stone statue opened its eyes and glanced at Xia Longwu. At this moment, a shadow had merged with Xia Longwu. Heaven Destruction glanced at it but did not say anything. That was the future body, right? Xia Longwu, who had fused with the future body, might be very strong. However, he didn't have a past body. Once his past was cut off, he would be finished. He would die easily. He wasn't like the invincible underworld race from before. Even if his future body and present body were destroyed, he was still alive. It was just that his strength was a little weak. Since his three bodies hadn't fused, his weakness was more obvious. He just didn't know how strong the future body that Xia Longwu had captured was. Among the countless futures, it was possible to capture an extremely weak future, such as a heavily injured state, an aging state, or a decaying state. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1945. 1945 Chapter 432, Xinghong is very satisfied. 3. If he captured it, it would be very difficult to change it. Firstly, he needed a carrier. Secondly, going to the river of time to capture the future body was a very dangerous thing. It was extremely dangerous and one could die if they were not careful. Many of the 9th level sun and moon cultivators did not come out of seclusion or appear because of this. Xia Longwu was not in a hurry to capture the past body. He was running around all day long. How reckless. These humans did not stop at all. Couldn't they just stay at home and capture his past body? Perhaps they could even capture the strongest past state. Many people like to capture their past state. Just now, perhaps it was the strongest state. However, in the long river of time, it was difficult to make a fixed choice. And in the past moment, one might also be disturbed. Tianmie thought about it and did not bother about it anymore. That Suyu had started to stir up trouble again. Fortunately, he was not with me. Xinghong should bear it himself. The city was sealed again. This time, it was unknown whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. If Suyu died, it would take a while. If Xinghong did not have a candidate for the city lord, he would have to bear even more death qi. It would be enough to make him suffer. The good thing was that Suyu might not be able to withstand much death aura at the moment. If it was another city lord, he might be even stronger. He could help Xing Hong reduce the pressure. Tian Mie was thinking about this. Meanwhile, Xing Hong was as still as a mountain. There was no pressure at all. That fellow Su Yu was very resistant. He was able to withstand so much that Xing Hong was trembling. This fellow was good. No matter how much death aura Xing Yu injected into him, no matter how much he digested, he would not be able to release it. As for this city lord position, to Xing Hong, this was the only one. Su Yu was considered qualified. Not bad. Unlike that fellow black demon, there was still some death qi that was constantly released. Xing Hong had no choice but to help bear it. As for Su Yu, there was no need to worry at all. As for Su Yu, it seemed as if he was not in a state of overflowing. Every time you felt that he had reached his limit, I'm sorry to tell you that he had not reached his limit. He was still alright and was still capable. Just like now, the death aura's backlash was coming one after another. Su Yu, on the other hand, continued to cultivate as if nothing had happened. He continued to do his own thing. Not only that, he actually had the spare time to read a book. Yes, Su Yu had also been reading a book recently to see if he could outline some divine runes. He only had 25 divine runes, which was too little. Although he had been using a lot of divine runes recently. Most of them were auxiliary functions. The time when he had knocked out his opponent with a hammer was gone forever. Thinking back, Su Yu had relied on his willpower. He had knocked him out with a hammer and chopped him down with a knife. Now, it was definitely not a problem for him to knock out the early stage of the mountain and sea realm, but, what was the use of knocking out the early stage of the mountain and sea realm? He had already destroyed the early stage of the mountain and sea realm with a single punch, so there was no need to waste time. Of course, there were also benefits to having more divine runes. Tranquility, tribulation, change. These divine runes were all very helpful to him. Without these divine runes, it would be very difficult for Su Yu to kill opponents of similar strength. When their strength was comparable, using divine runes would be advantageous. The divine runes of the fire inheritance, which hadn't been opened for a long time, began to open. As for Su Yu, at this moment, he began to study a divine rune that he had sketched out in the ancient city. He had almost never used it before, the Death Divine Rune. After Su Yu had drawn the divine text, he had not used it much. At this moment, Su Yu tried to use it. Once he used it, he could not help but sigh. He had missed out on something good. This divine text was not bad. It could actually help him absorb some death qi to draw the divine text. What did I lack? I lack everything except the death qi. With the ancient city around, my death qi is limitless. This divine text grew stronger, and it actually absorbed the death qi. You are too good. The divine text began to absorb the aura of death, and Su Yu's transformation speed became even faster. And the divine text also began to grow stronger. Not long after, a rank 2 divine text appeared. The word death had advanced. As for Su Yu, the transformation speed of the aura of death had also slowed down a little. He had deliberately slowed it down, so that he could provide enough aura of death for the divine text to absorb. What a good thing. Su Yu sighed. This divine text was very good. Even if it didn't reverse into a spirit of death, it could still erupt with an attack of the aura of death. Moreover, with this divine text, he would have some excuses to disguise as a spirit of death. Not bad, not bad. I'll try my best to strengthen it to Tier 4. There was also a newly outlined divine text, the Tier 2 word, endure, the old Turtle Great Zhou King's divine text. This was also not bad. Taking advantage of the fact that he was as still as a mountain, it was not bad to cultivate this divine text. Su Yu was at ease. Cultivating, casting his body, reading, strengthening the divine text. He was not worried about the backlash of the aura of death at all. He was also worried that he had to control it. If he did reverse it all day long, the aura of death on his body would be gone, then wouldn't he be finished? It was said that Su Yu was going to be finished, but Su Yu suddenly appeared on the list. How terrifying would that be? Therefore, he had to restrain himself. The next day, the city was sealed. Everything was still peaceful. No undead appeared, only some undead would appear at night to patrol. The entire ancient city was extremely quiet. Everyone was doing what they were supposed to do. It had only been 2 days. On the 3rd day, nothing happened. And on this day, Su Yu completed the first casting, the 51st casting. Now, the casting time was even longer. It took him 3 to 4 days to complete the first casting. The speed was much slower, and the consumption was also much greater. After completing the 51st casting, Su Yu only had 1,240 wisps of heaven and earth mystic light left. Including the previous ones, he had a total of 1,700 wisps. Now, he had used up 460 wisps. From 30 to 51 casts, it was considered decent. However, the current consumption had reached about 50 wisps of one cast. It was a frightening amount. 50 wisps of heaven and earth mystic light was more than 250 portions of heaven yuan qi. And before this, Su Yu had thought that 10 portions of heaven yuan qi would be enough for one casting. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1946. 1946 Chapter 432, Xing Hong is very satisfied, 4. Reality proved that he was thinking too much. Casting a body does not always consume energy. While the body is powerful, it also consumes a lot of energy. Moreover, Su Yu was still devouring the heavenly blood fruit to strengthen his qi and blood, in case his qi and blood could not keep up. This thing was also very valuable. He was now a super gold-swallowing beast. However, the increase in his strength was also terrifying. Every time he completed the casting, it was a huge increase for Su Yu. His qi and blood were strong. His physical strength was strong. At this moment, in the Dead Soul world, Star Moon continued to increase his output. You're strong again. Alright, then I'll continue to add fuel for you. Really, at this moment, the Death Chi output from Star Moon was not inferior to that of the Sun Moon transformation, it was completely equal. This meant that Star Moon was currently transforming into a Sun and Moon realm cultivator. And Su Yu was still Ling Yun. When would Ling Yun end? In reality, Su Yu had just ascended into the air when it came to his physical body. He wasn't done casting his body, was he? Could the 72 iron-eating points really be cast to the peak? Star Moon remained doubtful. Could the 72 iron-eating points be cast? Xing Yue also knew how to calculate. The more acupoints he opened, the harder it was to cast a body. The further he went, the harder it became. Xing Yue made a judgment. If Su Yu were to cast a body now, he would probably be around 50. How could he, who had opened the Zhou Tian acupoint, cast it? Was there no limit to this? Was his talent really that powerful? Talent determined the upper limit. This was not a matter of resources. Everyone had a bit of resources, but it did not mean that with resources, they would be able to open their minds indefinitely and forge their bodies indefinitely. What was going on with Su Yu? After the destruction of the ancient era, could the human race still have such a powerful talent? After the destruction of the ancient era, the human race was no longer an empire. On the side of the human realm, it was no longer filled with treasures in heaven yuan qi. The current human realm, even the Tianyuan sacred land, only had 2 extremely small places. It was not even comparable to some of the top 100 races. In such an environment, how could a monster like Su Yu appear in the human realm? Gods and devils occupied many spots on the heaven hunting list. They did not appear out of thin air. The quality of the Yuan Qi in the divine realm and devil world was much higher than that of the human realm. The heaven Yuan Qi was also not rare. This was also the reason why many gods and devils were born higher than the human race. They opened their Yuan openings directly and were born with a weight of 1,000 tons. Some powerful descendants were born with a weight of 10,000 stones. As for the human race, even if they were invincible descendants, almost all of them had to undergo Yuan opening. Xing Yu was helpless, so she didn't care anymore. No matter how strong you are, you can't escape my transformation. Sooner or later, you will be my undead general. On the fourth day, some people couldn't hold on any longer. Some of the experts from the small clans felt a little regretful. If they had known earlier, they wouldn't have stayed. It had already been 4 days, so why was there still no movement? The city gates had not been opened yet. Meanwhile, the attention of the outside world was once again focused on this side. Human realm, Great Xia Manor, some people were very depressed. What was going on? There had been some news recently, but all of a sudden, everyone no longer cared about the Great Xia Manor. The polytheistic college continued to develop, and the attention of the 10,000 clans once again focused on Su Yu's side. Compared to Su Yu, the polytheistic college had yet to produce any results after all, and there were no traces of the southern origin remains either. Forget it, let's put it aside for now. Let's keep an eye on Su Yu and see when he dies. These few days wouldn't matter. The 5th day. Some people really couldn't take it anymore and began to purchase Heaven Yuan Qi from the Heaven Hunter Pavilion. As for the Heaven Hunter Pavilion, they were also increasing their prices. Normally, they would order a portion of Heaven Hunter Qi for 10 points, but now, it was 20 points. It was up to them whether they wanted to buy it or not. As for Su Yu, he had also dismissed those temporary workers. He was afraid that they would be robbed, so he only showed up from far away and sold the Heaven Yuan Qi that the Heaven Hunter Pavilion had accumulated. It was selling well. These were all transported by the Heaven Hunter Pavilion themselves. Previously, Su Yu had asked the black armor to stock up, but this time, he had accumulated quite a lot. The selling price was very high. In 5 days, Su Yu suppressed the aura of death while still having the energy to do business. He sold 500 portions of Heaven Yuan Qi in the city. This was also all of it. Although the Heaven Hunter Pavilion had Heaven Yuan Qi, it was not unlimited. 500 portions, 5,000 heaven hunting points. This was a normal day, but now, it had doubled to 10,000 points. As for Su Yu, his 3-year assessment mission was 1,000 points. In an instant, he had completed the assessment mission for 30 years. As for the commission, he only had 10 heaven hunting points. It was ridiculous. However, these things were provided by the Heaven Hunting Pavilion. He did not need to pay anything. And Su Yu wasn't without profit. For example, some people paid some mountain and sea essence blood, sun and moon essence blood, and some were from strong clans, but Su Yu changed them all to weak clans. The Heaven Hunting Pavilion calculated according to their levels. Who cares if you were from strong clans or weak clans, the first level was calculated according to the first level price. Some guys only had the essence blood of strong clans, so they had to exchange it. Su Yu wasn't cheap for the Heaven Hunting Pavilion either. He had a lot of essence blood, so he changed them all to the weakest ones, such as the Iron-Winged Birds, and the Cloud Tiger clans. These essence blood. He had quite a lot of blood essence as well. He had caught quite a lot of people to earn the difference in price. Not only that, Su Yu had also thought of an opportunity to earn the difference in price. For example, at this moment, he was calmly communicating with the mystic armor. Elder, recently, I have collected quite a lot of blood essence, but the Heaven Yuan Qi is gone. There is an expert in the city who wants to sell the Heaven Yuan Qi to me, so he needs to exchange it with his blood essence. The price is a little high, the cost price is about 19 points sky hunting point, but changed to the day vitality, can sell 20 points, can also earn 1 point, this business we do. Black armor curse. That was you, wasn't it? He's impressed. Isn't Suyu sealing the city? And the energy to make money, and the energy to do business, damn it, you tell me, I'm dreaming. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1947. 1947 Chapter 432 Xing Hong was very satisfied. 5. Xianjiu was actually not Suyu. Or rather, the city lord was not Suyu. These few days, Suyu had come out to complete the mission and complete the transaction. It was enough for him to be shocked. In his imagination, this fellow was surrounded by the aura of death and could not move at all. But now, no one suspected that Xianjiu was Suyu. There was no other reason. Suyu was sealing the city while Xianjiu was trading. Suyu, who was sealing the city, did not have the time, energy, or motivation to do business while Xianjiu was doing it. If anyone said that Xianjiu was Suyu, the heaven hunting pavilion would be the first to beat them to death. There was no need to malign people like that. This fellow was really amazing. Now, he still had the mood to pull the wool from the wool. He sold it to the heaven hunting pavilion at 19 points and then sold it to the residents in the city at 20 points. In this way, not only would Suyu be able to complete the results, but he would also be able to make a huge profit. Normally, the heaven hunting pavilion would only sell for 10 points. Furthermore, this way, no one would be suspicious. Otherwise, if anyone were to sell, others might not dare to buy. The heaven hunting pavilion still had credibility. At this moment, the heaven hunting pavilion needed someone to complete the transaction in the city. Many people were trading with them. However, the heaven hunting pavilion knew that they had run out of heaven yuan qi and could not send it in. They were worried that they would not be able to satisfy their customers' needs. The price of Xianjiu trading with others was a little expensive, but it was not profitable at all. After all, he had to be responsible for communicating with customers and consuming energy. However, in times of trouble, the heaven hunting pavilion could provide sufficient resources at any time. This point would be enough to make all the experts look at the heaven hunting pavilion in a new light. Therefore, even if it was not profitable, this transaction could still be done. Very soon, Xian Jia said, "It can be done. Communicate with the Huang department and say that you have met a mysterious expert. Prepare a note so that there won't be any problems." "All right." Suyu smiled and quickly said, "Sir, I have completed a large number of transactions. Will there be some additional rewards?" "There is. If you complete more, it will be easier for you to become an elder in the future." "Is that so? Then I hope that I can reach the standard of an elder as soon as possible." Suyu smiled, but Xian Jia did not care. Suyu had completed a lot of transactions, and he had received a lot of commission. In fact, he had also made a profit. And this time, Suyu completed the transaction in both directions. He bought a portion of heaven yuan qi, and it counted as the transaction volume. He sold heaven yuan qi, and it counted as the transaction volume. Suyu could get a 2% commission, and as his supervisor, the mystic armor was the same. Therefore, under the premise of not violating the rules, the mystic armor also let him go. If you have the ability, then complete more transactions. From this day onwards, the name of the heaven hunting pavilion spread in the ancient city once again. Heaven yuan qi was scarce, feel free to look for the heaven hunting pavilion. 20 points per set, no more price increase. Enough. The heaven hunting pavilion was omnipotent. As for Suyu, he continued to devour essence blood to extract heaven yuan qi. He was extremely busy. How much did a drop of heaven yuan qi cost? He extracted 1 drop, which was about 1,000 human merit points, which was 1 heaven hunting point. He sold it for 19 heaven hunting points and earned 18 points, which was 1,800% of the profit margin. It didn't even count as a commission. Of course, this was him. The cost of the heaven hunting pavilion was actually not low. It was more than 3 times his cost and more than 3 points. In addition, he had to pay a commission to communicate with the customers, transport, and so on. The cost of the heaven hunting pavilion was around 5 points. If he sold it for 10 points normally, he would double the profit. But Su Yu didn't double the profit. He was making a huge profit. At this moment, the closure of the city also gave him this opportunity. Everyone's demand was high, and the experts from the small clans in the city all came to buy. Every day, there were around 500 trading points. For 3 consecutive days, all the way until the 8th day of the closure of the city, even the experts blocking the gate started to buy from Su Yu. As for Su Yu, he continued to close the city while doing their business, preparing to empty them out. It was actually a good thing for these people to consume the aura of death in the city. It could help Su Yu consume a lot of the aura of death. Living people in the city could help to consume the aura of death. By using the heaven yuan qi to consume it, the aura of death would be offset even more. This time, the stone statue was stunned. He realized that he was bearing less aura of death. Originally, the residents in the city would bear 20%, Su Yu would bear 10%, and he would bear 70%. Now, the residents in the city would bear 30%, Su Yu would still bear 10%, and he only needed to bear 60%. The stone sculpture fell into deep thought. He looked at the lively Su Yu, who was still in the mood to make money. At this moment, the stone sculpture secretly made a decision. He instantly turned 10% of the pressure on Su Yu. He would bear half, the residents in the city would bear 30%, and Su Yu would bear 20%. Since you are so good at jumping around, I believe in you. You are very useful as a city lord. I support you. You continue to jump around, continue to seal the city, and continue to waste energy. This was the first time he had borne so little of the aura of death. At this moment, the Xinghong stone sculpture was very satisfied. He felt that such a city lord was much stronger than the dozens of city lords he had experienced in the past. This was great. Su Yu, who had borne 20% of the aura of death, was now equivalent to 2. As for the stone sculpture, it was originally able to bear 70% of the pressure, but now, half was enough. In an instant, it freed him a lot, and his mood was much better. As expected, heaven's destruction was right. Su Yu could cause trouble, but he could get things done. Look, it was so powerful. The stone sculpture was still worried that 20% would crush Su Yu, but reality proved that there was no problem. As for Su Yu, he was a little frightened. What happened? When he was counting the money, his aura of death suddenly exploded. Previously, because of the backlash, he had to spend 2 hours a day to reverse the aura of death. But at this moment, he suddenly had an extra hour to suppress it. In other words, the current Su had to continuously reverse the aura of death for 3 hours a day to reverse it. It was equivalent to an increase in power, so he wouldn't be eroded. It's been 3 hours. Su Yu was terrified. What's going on? I didn't do anything. The city has been sealed for a long time. Did I suffer an even stronger backlash? It's too terrifying. Su Yu was terrified. It had already been 3 hours. If this continued, he wouldn't be able to cultivate for 10 hours. If he really had to wait for 24 hours to reverse it, then from now on, he would have to be like everyone else. Cultivating day in and day out to counteract the aura of death. Su Yu was scared. 3 hours later, he had finished polishing the aura of death that had increased today. As for Xinghong's stone sculpture, he looked at him once again, deep in thought. Amazing. It was resolved so quickly. Does this mean that even if I transfer another 10% to you, you will still be able to withstand it? Xing Hong felt that he had encountered a treasure. This was too great. How about I transfer another 10% to you? It's too obvious, no. Xing Hong thought to himself, forget it, I'll wait a little longer. If this kid does something big again, I'll transfer another 10% to him. He thought that it was caused by the backlash, but reality proved that it wasn't. However, at the very least, he had to find a reason, right? Xing Hong was extremely satisfied. I'm definitely going to take this city lord. No one is allowed to change. Very good. If Suyu doesn't die, he feels that he doesn't need to change the city lord anymore. That's too considerate. Will Tianmie regret it? He really wanted to tell Tianmie that I've encountered a treasure. While you guys are still entangled with the aura of death, on my side, a new city lord can already help me bear a lot of the aura of death. It was so comfortable. Xing Hong was comfortable, and Suyu was really a little scared. Should I seal the city? I'm scared. The death aura backlash had suddenly increased by so much, and he was really a little scared. No, if it really increased to more than 5 hours, why don't I reverse everything and run away? He kept feeling that I was in danger, and the calamity word divine prose was jumping just now, as if there was a crisis. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1948. 1948 Chapter 433, Great Qin King 1. Suyu was very afraid and worried, but the sudden increase in the aura of death made him feel powerless. He could only go all out and continue to strengthen himself. The stronger he was, the stronger the aura of death would be. However, Suyu felt that as long as he was strong enough, the speed of the aura of death becoming stronger would not be as fast as the speed of his own strengthening. Naturally, he would not be in too much danger. On the 8th day after the city was sealed, Suyu completed the 50-second cast. Not only did he complete the 50-second cast, Suyu had also made other improvements. For example, he had dropped from the 8th level of Lingyun to the 7th level of Lingyun. Yes, this was considered an improvement because it meant that Suyu's willpower was purer and more solid. The God-expanding hammer had been hammering his willpower continuously recently. Speaking of which, he had already reached Zhao Li's level and was even slightly stronger. Of course, this was before Zhao Li had broken through. Zhao Li had spent tens to hundreds of years, while Suyu had spent a year. Not only that, in these few days, Suyu had also studied the text of will and sketched out another divine text, seal. This divine text came from a king who had not opened a mansion. He was unrivaled among the 8 great families in the Quest realm. After opening a mansion, he became unrivaled. His title was the Forbidden Heavenly King. He was famous for his restrictions. This time, Suyu had comprehended a divine text in his text of will, seal. This was also a supporting divine text that sealed the heavens and earth. It seemed very powerful. However, it was only a rank 2 divine text after all. Suyu tried it out and found that it had a sealing effect. The effect was average, at least to the current Suyu, it didn't have a particularly powerful effect. Of course, if this divine text was powerful, it would definitely have a good effect. This was the 26th divine text Suyu had drawn. Unfortunately, the beast-like divine text was destroyed by him. Otherwise, he would have 27 divine texts by now. Adding one more divine text was also a good thing. 26 divine texts had been drawn. The current Suyu could be considered to have verified what teacher Jin Sheng had said back at the Daming Manor. The power of human divine texts was increasing. The more divine prose there was, the stronger the divine prose of the human race would be. With one piece of divine prose sketched out, Suyu's other divine prose would also be slightly more powerful. On the whole, Suyu, who was at the 8th level of Lingyun realm, could knock out the first or second level of the mountain and sea realm with a single strike. Now, he, who was at the 7th level of Lingyun realm, had the hope of knocking out the 3rd level of the mountain and sea realm with a single strike. The lower his realm was, the stronger he would be. Of course, his realm wasn't really low. It was just that he had forcefully knocked it down. It was extremely compressed. On one hand, the compressed realm was to purify one's willpower. On the other hand, it was also to not attract attention and gain more benefits from killing people. It wasn't a waste. If he didn't have the strength of a physical body, in reality, the current Suyu could be considered a genius, a top-notch genius, just by relying on his willpower. A 7th level Lingyun against an ordinary 3rd level of the mountain and sea realm, the opponent would most likely be beaten to death by Suyu. Killing enemies across a large realm. Previously, Qin Fang, with the strength of a 6th level Lingyun, had killed a 3rd level of the mountain and sea realm. He was on the heaven roll and remained at 18th place. As for Suyu, he was at the 7th level Lingyun and could kill a 3rd level of the mountain and sea realm. In addition, he was much younger than Qin Fang. If he did not have the strength of a physical body, Suyu actually had the ability to be on the heaven roll and the earth roll. Of course, Suyu did not care about this anymore. In Suyu's eyes, the support effect of the Tao of Divine Prose was still very strong. If it was taken out alone, it was actually just as so. How could it be as good as having a physical body? It was incomparably powerful. Suyu was strengthening himself, and he had also earned quite a bit of money. In the past few days, he had been continuously selling heaven origin chi in the name of the heaven hunting pavilion. Of course, at this time, Suyu did not sell it anymore. He was afraid that he would be ambushed by those red-eyed sun and moon experts and robbed by them. After all, everyone in the city knew that the heaven hunting pavilion had a lot of heaven yuan chi these few days. Suyu did not sell anything anymore. Instead, he hid and prepared to exhaust those fellows to death. 8 days. In fact, the city was panicking. Some of the experts from the small clans could not take it anymore. They had been emptied of their wealth by Suyu. Their heaven yuan chi had been depleted, their money had been gone, and their heaven yuan chi had been depleted. Now, they were facing the invasion of death chi. 8 days in a row. Many people were already going crazy. Didn't they say that Suyu would definitely die within 3 days? Why was he still alive? Some people were already unable to withstand the attack of the aura of death. They had no choice but to consider whether or not to convert to residence. Otherwise, if they did not make up their minds now, the conversion would still take 3 days. After 3 days, they might die. Now, they could either make preparations in advance or bet that Suyu would die 3 days later and open the city gates. In front of the city lord's manor. After he left, there were 7 sun and moon experts in front of the city lord's manor. There were close to 30 sun and moon experts in the city, but quite a number of them had left. Suyu's threat had some effect after all. However, even if some of them had left, there were still 6 mid-stage sun and moon experts and 4 early-stage sun and moon experts. Including Gao Zhong, there were still 17 sun and moon experts in the city. More than 10 of them had left. Now, the city had been sealed for 8 days. These sun-moon realm cultivators had brought a large amount of heaven yuan chi with them. After purchasing a portion, they were still able to hold on, but they were somewhat anxious. The late-stage sun-moon realm cultivator from the dragon silkworm race could no longer sit still. He asked, "Lord Purple Demon, how much longer can Suyu last?" The strongest person on the scene was this demon expert, a 9th-stage sun-moon realm cultivator. He was not on the Tao manifestation board, but his strength was still boundless. Purple Demon was also from the blood-fire demon race. There were many sun and moon in this race, and it seemed like they would not die out. At this moment, Purple Demon's long hair danced in the wind. After a long silence, he suddenly said, "Get ready." Find an opportunity to leave. There are 3 to 5 days before the city gates open. Get ready to run. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1949. 1949 Chapter 433, Great Qin King 2. The surroundings were silent, and some of the sun and moon were dumbfounded. What did this mean? Are the blood fire demons trying to run? Purple Demon didn't say much. While he still had the strength and hope to run, Suyu would still be able to hold on in 3 to 5 days. He would run then. He wouldn't come again. It was meaningless. Not only was there no fighting, but he was also blocking the door like an idiot. He didn't even see Suyu's face before he was about to die. What was the point of not running? Who knew when Suyu would not be able to hold on? On the blood fire demon side, Suyu had already killed many experts. He originally thought that Suyu would come out, but now it proved that he was thinking too much. Suyu did not come out at all. He simply opened the city gate's seal, and they were about to be finished. The 9th layer of the sun-moon was very strong. It also carried a lot of heaven yuan qi. However, it was not the same if this continued. He would be fine for half a month, and there was hope for him to survive for a month. However, when that time came, he would also be exhausted. He would be corroded by the death aura until he could no longer look at it. He should find an opportunity to escape while he was still in good condition. The other experts did not say anything. They only knew that they had underestimated Suyu. If they could not kill Suyu this time, no one would dare to come again next time. They were locked up for 8 consecutive days without a sound. If they were really locked up, then the 10,000 clans would have to consider whether they should continue to find trouble for Suyu and pay a huge price. They were clearly on the verge of death, yet they had killed them, who were in the later stages of the sun and moon realm. Next time, they would probably not dare to come again. No one wanted to die. It was very difficult to cultivate to this stage. In the end, before they could even see the other party's face, they were already covered in dirt. At this moment, the immortal expert said softly, "Half a month, let's wait another 7 days. If Suyu is still alive, we will break out of the encirclement. If the invincible doesn't enter the city, there won't be much of a problem. Let the invincible help us break through the city gate and we will break out quickly. One invincible is enough. There will probably be a sovereign of the dead spirit. Purple Demon, you block 1 or 2 of them. We'll break out of the encirclement quickly." This 9th level sun-moon of the Bloodfire Demon clan looked at him quietly. "Do you think my clan is a fool? I'm 9th level sun-moon, and I haven't even fused with my 3 lifetimes. You want me to block the invincible?" The Bloodfire Demons liked to fight, but they also liked to fight evenly matched. They liked to fight to the death, but it didn't mean that they liked to be killed. What a joke. Purple Demon looked at him coldly. After a while, he said, "Break out of the encirclement. You, the immortals, will take the rear." The immortal expert was stunned. Purple Demon said coldly, "What are you looking at? You, the immortals, will take the rear. If you are not convinced, we will join hands to kill you." Silence. The other experts of the other races didn't say anything. The gods and demons were against the humans. The dragon silkworm had a grudge against the humans, and the dark race also had a grudge against the immortals. The remaining 2, one from the heavenly spirit monkey race and the other from the dragon race, didn't have any relationship with the immortals. The immortals were the allies of the humans. Of course, the immortals were also very active now. No matter what, since Purple Demon didn't want to, he was at the 9th level of the sun and moon. The strongest. The dark race and the god race were both at the 8th level of the sun and moon. They weren't weak either. The immortal race was at the 7th level of the sun and moon. You didn't keep your word. The immortal expert's face changed slightly. Soon, he smiled and said, "Lord Purple Demon, you're joking. I'm weak, so it's very difficult for me to fight against the Death Spirit Lord." Purple Demon said coldly, "Cut the crap. Your immortal life force stimulation technique will make your life force rich and can offset a portion of the death aura. Who doesn't know this? If you break out of the encirclement, you will have a chance to survive. If you don't, then you will die." The immortal expert's expression changed. "Lord Purple Demon, our goal now is to kill Suyu, not to fight amongst ourselves. Do you immortals think everyone is an idiot?" Purple Demon said coldly, "Cut the crap. How dare you order me around? Who gave you the guts? You can also try not to stay behind and try to cause trouble." After saying that, he looked at the others. He said coldly, "Everyone, remember this. If you break out of the encirclement, no one will be able to stay behind and block the Death Spirit Sovereign. Most likely, you will all die. If someone is able to block it, then there is a high chance that you will survive. If we are going to die, I will be the last one. The Dragon Silkworm race and the Heavenly Spirit Monkey race are not stronger than the gods and fiend celestials. If he doesn't hold back, your races will have to hold back. It's that simple. It's up to you to decide whether he will take the risk or you will take the risk." No one said anything. The sun and moon of the Dragon Silkworm race were terrified. The Dragon Silkworm race was the weakest. If the immortals did not hold back, then of course it would be him. Should he take the rear, or should the immortal race take the rear? Of course, it would be better for the immortal race to take the rear. Purple Devil snorted coldly and ignored him. The best outcome would naturally be for Suyu to die. However, if Suyu really didn't die, then there was nothing they could do. After half a month, they would have to break out of the encirclement and leave. At that time, they would still have the strength to resist and still be able to escape. After more than half a month, their strength would be greatly reduced, and the death aura would corrode them. It would be difficult for them to escape even if they wanted to. The celestial expert was a female celestial. She was as cold as ice and came from the ice and snow celestial race. At this moment, she glanced at the celestial expert with a mocking look in her eyes. The celestial race was very strong, but they were also very sinister. In the past, when the human race was weak, the celestial race helped the human race not because they wanted to help the human race, but because they were worried that the weak human race would be exterminated by the gods and devils. The celestial race didn't have any benefits. Now, the human race was growing stronger. The geniuses of the multi-divine literature department appeared, and the immortals quickly changed their attitude. They were more proactive than them in killing Suyu. The gods and demons were disdainful of this kind of fence-sitter.